that's partly why I started like only doing one lap in practice and like hot laps, because again, like I knew for whatever reason this little redheaded cat, like you could pick it up. We got to get Travis in that seat and we got to do Kids on the Couch.
Oh, dude, it'd be a blockbuster hit for sure.
Like you said, I was done, washed up, and that's where it was coming from. And so that's where that animosity, I'm like I ain't got nothing to do with this. Like so when we couldn't get parts,
it was rode for us because I got the band back together. You were going to take those mistakes you made in 06 and not make them in 07, which you could win freaking so much.
What's up, guys? You know who it is, your boy James Stewart, and we at the podcast, baby, the BUBBAS World Podcast. And as always, as you know, I got my boy Raj. What up, Raj?
What's up, James?
Cole, he's over there, but he's behind the camera. So I'm gonna say, Cole, what's your last name? Bitch. He's here. Today was a good day, and I think you guys are gonna figure that out pretty quickly. We had a special guest on today.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It was a good one that I got a lot of respect for, a lot of history from, and I think a lot of people are going to want to figure that one out. But it was a good show today. It's a good show.
Yeah, we might need to do a part 2, maybe part 3.
Part 5, 6. Yeah, it's the first time I ever really had a chance to talk to this guy. Ever outside of racing. So I'm excited. Let's get into it. We're going to have a special show. And let's get to it, baby. You haven't been down here since...
Your birthday party. 18.
18.
Your 18th birthday party was December 2003, because your birthday's in December, right?
Yeah.
And I came, and I never even went in the building, because I think that's where you had your concert set up. Then you had your bus out there, and that was all kinds of fun stuff happening in the bus. I didn't go in the bus, but I brought my wife at the time with me and a couple other friends. But if you remember, like I had my knee surgery. I had it like 2 weeks before.
That's right.
So I was laid up, so I was just kind of chilling in the back of my truck, and it was cold as hell that night. I do remember that.
Yeah, we had some fun. We had some fun that night. That was a good time. We had David Banner, Little Flip.
That's right.
And
David Banner.
Hey, I still pull up that music video of me. It was a good video. I did a
with him.
Yeah, you don't tell me you didn't know. There's a music video of me and David Banner, and I'm in there like wheeling, turn it up, crank it up.
You have to find that one, Cole.
Oh my God!
I don't know.
I mean, I was on BET back when 106 in Part. Like we got a top 10 like a few times, but yeah, I was in that one. I drove up to Atlanta, and that's when I found out like how the rap stuff really works. Like it ain't their cars. Like, they were trying to get me to get my Lambos up here. I'm like, I ain't driving this shit up there to like Atlanta up there. But
putting a bunch of miles on.
Yeah, David Banner, Crank It Up. That's the song, and but he was awesome. He was awesome. And then we did another show in Indy one year, and that's when I got a bottle thrown at me. I saw them like popping champagne, spraying it on cats. So I was like, well, damn, I'll do it too. And I was up on the stage. Well, somebody didn't like that. Threw the bottle.
Really?
It hit me, bust my nose. I was like, I'm out.
Right here.
Shit too ghetto for me. Yeah, here I am.
There it is.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Wow. I think I got a little Crank It Up in there, but
nose wheelie.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that is awesome.
Yeah, he was awesome, man. He was awesome.
Was he?
He was cool. He was really cool. Like I said, if I saw him today, we still chat. I went to a few of his concerts. He actually came down here for my 21st birthday, too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. But yeah, it was a good time.
I think those free wells are still in the garage, those spinners.
Man, those things were like 10 grand. They're making a comeback now.
Really?
Spinners are?
Yeah, they're making a comeback. Yeah. Dude, I spent 10 grand for those things, and then Walmart hooked me up. Walmart started selling them. And then you saw a hoopty, like Nissans, like they all had them. And then it was just a waste of time. But
well, there's a couple of sets in the garage still.
Yeah, you can get a whole set for $500 from Walmart,
man, and that would be top line sets right now. Then they got them where you just pop the hubcap on it, like on there. It was a lot of stuff.
Speaking of big wheels like that, you know what I've always wanted? I want a donk so bad. Dude, those things are so badass.
He's kind of got one.
You got one? You got a dunk?
The Impala is
That my Impala ain't no dunk.
If you put a wheel on it, would be.
No, it ain't no dunk. Yeah. No, he's talking about a dunk. Like those are like
your Impala.
My Impala's not a dunk. I got a '96 Impala on there.
Okay.
Yeah, it ain't no dunk.
It ain't.
It's beautiful. You talking about a dunk that has like 30-inch wheels on there? That every time it's got music in there. The car rattled like ding, 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 like a big one.
A good clean one though.
A clean one. I'm trying to think of like the name, like of the car, but the one that has like M&Ms, like they paint M&Ms on it, or the other.
It's like a Monte Carlo.
Yeah. Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
And Impalas too.
Yep.
Yeah.
That.
No,
You're 96. I'm telling you.
No, you pull up a '96 Impala, it ain't no dunk. I don't even think the wheels, it wouldn't even fit. Even though I got some big ones on there, but I had to do a lot of stuff to get it. It's clean. It ain't no dunk.
It is clean. I'll give you.
But
that.
I would like a dunk too. I would like. You see this cat rolling around in a dunk?
I always tease my kids when we see one. They're like, "You got to get one, Dad. You got to get one."
Yeah, mine's are the same way. They were like, "A fast car." I'm like, son, like. I used to have like 10 of them in the garage, and when I did, like you didn't care. Now I'm like, nah, I like the old Lincoln over here, Daddy's car. Put the golf clubs in there and car seats, and I'm straight. And but yeah, a dunk. Only thing I had was the hydraulics. I had a
did you
64 Impala or 63, and I remember picking this thing up from this dude named Lope Dog in California. And
I remember that guy.
Yeah, he used to go to race, like skinny, like dude. Well, we had a few of them. We had Smokey back in the day. But yeah, I picked that thing up, and he dropped it off in Corona. And I remember like I was so stoked, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna drive it to the house. Man, I got in that thing on the freeway, and I was like, all right, I got it. And to go straight, you're driving like this to go straight. So Rado was following me, so I threw my hand up like this. So it would be like this, and dude, I was like,
really?
Like on that, because I had the Dayton's on it, and it had hydraulics. That thing was crazy hard to drive, and it sat in the garage, and I don't even think I ever drove it. It was scary. It was scary. No seat belts.
Did it make its way back to Florida, or did it just?
No, it was here in Florida on there, but it sat in the garage because you literally couldn't go over 35 miles an hour. It was dangerous.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like a golf
skinny
cart.
tires.
I mean, dude, they were like 12s on there because they were hydraulics, and then but I hit the switches on them. It was awesome. So it's good. So what's up with? How old are your kids now?
They're 15. Damn. 15 years old, and they start driving here in March. Wow. It's crazy. So I've been thinking about. I was telling Roger this is and you're going through this. Your responsibility as a parent is to get your kids to and from places, whether it be school, daycare, you name it, right?
Yeah.
And now, like, I'm thinking of, I'm going to lose that responsibility here in three and a half months.
Wow.
And it's crazy. And it's different because that time is actually cut in half because being divorced, I have my kids a little over half the time. But anyhow, so it's, let's just say a month and a half worth of picking up and dropping off. And it's just crazy to think that. So I'm like, well, what happens now?
Yeah.
When you get up in the morning, do you still see them off to school?
Yeah.
And, so it's real life stuff like that has been fun, nerve wracking at the same time. That's it.
Yeah. It's crazy how when I had mine, it was, basically my last race in Washougal. Mm-hmm. And I tell the story, it was the first time I was on the gate and I wasn't nervous on there. I was just sitting there. I guess I wasn't that nervous battling Vinny Blas back in 10th place, but I don't know. I was just sitting back thinking of stuff but my kids never got to experience, and I think it was kind of like yours. You raced Orlando. Yeah. I remember you flew in a helicopter. You just had your first kid. And then we did outdoors, but they wasn't old enough to really, see you. And so my kid, all I am is YouTube dad and all that. But I think you go through points in life, like they're all with the mom and they really, doing that. And you really can't do much with them. And then they start growing up and then, they're hanging out with dad. And then you start taking those responsibilities. Like I'm Mr. Dad, like I'm cleaning, school, cooking, whatever it is. And so I haven't got to that point yet
but he's Mr. Mom now.
And
that's where he's at now.
But it changes your whole perspective on life. in general. So I can only imagine like when they come over here and I don't have them, like it is weird. Like it's just a weird feeling. So, you know, I know it's partly, I can only imagine how like sad that part is. Like when you're like, dude, like no more.
It's crazy,
the responsibility of, they can kind of.
I mean, I've had a warm up, you know, because social media, and they're always on their phones, and you'll experience that as well as yours get older. But it's like, so I'm kind of getting warmed up, like, because they don't ever want to hang out with me much, anyways.
Yeah,
probably more than most parents, I feel like, just because of this, you know, how we grew up. And, you know, I feel like we're younger parents.
Do you bring them to the races much? Or
once in a while, once in a while. They love coming to Supercrosses and stuff like that.
That's cool.
And they got midterm finals this week. They wanted to come down here. I'm like, no, you can't. You got midterms, but it's crazy. You know, like you always hear people talk about, man, you know, you don't blink because they'll be gone. And I feel like I'm living like my kids are in 9th grade, and they'll be gone in 3.5 years. So then I'm like, oh, now what do I do?
Yeah.
It's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Scary. So sad. You name it.
You got two.
Boy, girl twins.
Yeah.
And they were born Friday morning before Orlando Supercross. And I don't know if you've ever heard this, but we go to Orlando Supercross in 2007, my final Supercross. And I tell people that was my favorite Supercross race ever.
Yeah, it was mine.
I didn't even win. Yeah. Like I didn't even care.
But what?
Because I felt like it was twofold for me, and that's a great question. So, number one, I was still bitter how Chad was like kicking my ass in 2003. Then I didn't race 2004, 105, and 2006, but I still just like. We passed him, and we put like a half track on him. So it was like...
We were on a different level.
Yeah. And so it was one of those reasons, and I have tremendous amount of respect for Chad.
Yeah.
And just the level, to your point, that we were riding at, we were going so fast, but at the same time, it felt effortless.
Yeah, well...
To me, I'm like, I never felt like I was out of control. I never felt like... I was never like, oh shit, I'm gonna crash, you know. Like I'm like, man, we are just rolling right now.
Well, I would tell you one thing: that race, that Supercross, was the best the hardest I ever had to ride, like race against like you. Like, I mean, I remember we got to halfway, and I'm like I caught him, and where I was quick at was the whoops.
Yeah.
I was quick in the
you
whoops.
was killing me.
I was just sending it in the whoops. And then I got lucky when I passed Chad because he actually hit neutral off the triple.
Really?
And if you go back to it, I just happened not to follow him, or I landed on him. And you go back like lap 4 or something, because I was like, dude, like he has to get out the way, because I can tell like from practice, he hits neutral right here.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. And
I never realized that.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, cool. Now I'm going to you. But like I caught you. But you were on like, again, like you were just on it. And I remember getting to halfway, like, dude, like I actually felt like look at this, like I'm just like sending it. It was the one race that like I felt like there was no advantage that like I had like over like speed besides like the whoop section. But you were so good, like right here.
Yeah, I was using first gear there, and I never used first gear.
Yeah.
Did you use first gear a lot?
I think I used to shift like 26 times around the racetrack on there.
Wow.
Yeah, I shift a lot. I mean, obviously with 4 strokes, it changed, but yeah, I liked the first gear. That's back when the false neutral was so hard to get into, like when you send them the gate. But
that's right.
Yeah, you had me on the break, and I felt like at lap 10 that like it was like you were trying to get away and see if you can kind of break me, and then I was still there. But then it kind of like we slowed down a little bit, and then it was like 10 laps to go, and then we just started like going at it. But that was a fun race, and it was definitely the best the best I've seen you, like the best I've seen you race.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was. I think that. Yeah, and I knew that you had me covered in the whoops. And then when you caught me, like never once did I think I had. It's funny to hear you say that because never once did I think that I had you on the brink at this race. No, I knew. I'm like, well, because you were making up so much time on me through the whoops. I'm
you
like,
didn't see all this,
like that was a hell of a save.
Yeah, that was because that's what I mean. Like on the rings, like I'm like, dude, if he gets away, because I was tired. Like I was already starting to get tired running you down. Like because I was doing all that. So also think back then, like the Suzuki worked really well on those, the slippery tracks, and
my stuff was so soft too. You knew that.
Yeah, and the track wasn't like super tough, and that's when you had the fuel injection. So
no, we didn't have fuel injection there.
No, I think you did. 07, that was the first year.
Yeah, that's when they introduced it, but I never raced with fuel injection.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Straight up,
no,
yeah.
I
was so bummed, but I did test it. I did test it, but it wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, so I remember actually passing you and slowing down on there, catching my breath, and I'm like, the one thing I always knew about racing you, no matter what, like in practice, you could be off. And I hated being paired up with you in the heat race because hated it because you were good to where like you could study and you could just pick up. And it's the one thing this guy was so good at is being able to like follow and just pick up like speed. Chad was like that too. But
see, I thought same,
but he was different. I think he decided to go fast.
Really?
Like, yeah, because half the time you'd be like, dude, he'd be when you wasn't there. Sometimes he'd be battling with Nick Way on there, and then and be like 2 seconds off practice. Like, all right, you got him, and then in the race he would just show up,
all up your junk,
kind of like he did here in Orlando. That's why I wanted to get around him like quickly, and then he like fell off. But I think he just decided he was going to go fast. Where I think you were really good at being able to study and like pick up the speed. And so I knew when I got past you, there was no way I was pulling away from you. So
I don't know. You say that, you're not giving yourself enough credit. So like when I was in this moment right here, people are going to love this. Like, dude, I knew I wasn't fast enough to pass you. So my only tactic was I'm like, all right, I have to just stay close enough and try to get him to mess up. That's all I have to, like, that was my only goal. I didn't even want to try to pass you. Never. Like, I didn't want to even try to pass you. I'm like, because here's the thing, dude, and I always tell people this. If I go faster, you're going to go faster. So why should I even risk going, like, over my limit? Because if I do that, then I'm going to get arm pump, and then you're really going to go blowing by me. So, like, that was always my thing with you is, like, I'm just going to ride my pace. Because if I try to go faster, he's going to step up. And hopefully my pace is fast enough to get him. Outdoors, that was a little bit easier. But Supercross, I mean, dude, I knew I was going to have to win on a technicality. Yeah. Straight up. I don't think that I ever beat you straight up in a main, like head to head, where like say we were top 5 in a start. I don't think that I ever did. Yeah, now, maybe if you were outside of top 5, but I don't really call that head.
Got me in the championships. Yeah, so a couple hay bales here and there.
Yeah, but
no, that's why I was so excited for you to come down here and get in and talk these conversations because we literally was on opposite sides. Like I actually felt like I couldn't go any faster. Like that was the night that I'm like there was so much pressure on like me feeling like I cannot. Because I knew how good you were outdoors. And I'm like, that's a whole different animal. That's a whole different animal. And I was stuck in this year. You would think that somebody would be off, like racing part-time, like they would just show up and like, be a little rusty. You never were. You always on top form. In fact, I always felt like you were better.
I was.
And I knew like this last race, if I let this guy beat me in my backyard, I'll never forget it. Like, I mean, when they're going to take my proclamation away in Haines City, blackness. And I'm like, so it was that fact. And the fact is like me trying to catch you, like it was hard. Like it was hard. So when you saying you're like, you knew you couldn't pass me, I knew you wasn't going to be aggressive. Like you would take me out. So I knew I'm just going to stay in front of him. Like on there, I'm going to slow down because I know he's not going to take me out. And when it gets close to the end, I'm just going to try to pick up the pace again. and you're like, I'm just gonna stay with him, and I'm like, I'm gonna slow down so I can like at least ride in my own comfort zone, because it was a little tough that night. So it was good, man. I think all the years of us battling, and especially in Supercross, this race, it's an example. All that was balled up in this race. Like two of the best like racers, Supercross, greatest of all time. Like, I think this is that race where I would say our whole career kind of went down, and I would say this is the James Stewart, Ricky Carmichael, like, when you think of that, that's what this is.
That's right.
And we were head and shoulders above everybody else. Like, we were kind of like that this year, but this particular race, dude, it was on another level.
Dude, cool. To your point, this year we were the races that I did race. I mean, we were on another level. But you know why I think that, like, I was better that year? Because I didn't have the pressure of the title, so I could just show up, and I didn't like, it was like, I'm just racing. I didn't have to be protected. I didn't have to guard anything. I wasn't thinking like 10 weeks down the road. Yeah. So I'm just like, I remember telling Eldon this before the season started. I said, dude, if I had to guess what PEDs would be, being on PEDs would be like, it would be, this is what it would probably feel like. My training was easy. My boot camp was easy. Yeah. My motos were easy. Yeah. It was just, and the only thing that I can think of is just mentally.
Not having that pressure.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because nothing else is different.
Yeah. And in Supercross, I always felt like my talent, I was good enough where like I could race you and not put myself like in jeopardy of losing it. Outdoors, it was opposite. Like, I knew it was either like, if I want to compete against this guy, like, I'm gonna have to like be willing to risk the title, like, on there. It, yeah. And racing you outdoors that year, it was so hard. And if you think about, that's why we always battled the first moto. Always, because I was like, I got another moto. I'm gonna give him hell. I'm at least get one of these things. And so the first moto, I would race you. Like, I was like, all right, race you. And most of the time, like, it was too much for me to deal with on there. And then now the only time I would say that season in 07, because as you say, with the pressure, I'm like, I'm gonna win this title on there. But the pride and never being able to like really race you and beat you outdoors, like, it was there. I wanted to be able to do it, and I knew to do that, like, it's just a self-respect for myself. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm racing dude that's won 150,000 of these things, and I knew just by beating you, like, it would just be a feather in my cap. Well, anyways, so we get to Red Bud, and I'm like, it.
I'm going
for it. I'm going for it. Because last time I did that, I got knocked out. I woke up in a hospital in 06, and we'll talk about Mount Morris. But so at Red Bud, I would do, for some reason, I would get good starts. And then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to go. And then I'm like, all right, here he comes. So I'm like, I'm not even gonna try to waste all my energy, because he's gonna catch me. Probably how you were thinking, like in Supercross, like, oh, he's gonna catch me. So I'm gonna let you come up, and then I'm gonna race you. Like, I'm gonna race
play
you.
with me.
So it wasn't planned. It was like tactical. If I went all in, you were just on a different level. Like, you would catch me like on there. And I think just the whole fact of, again, that championship riding to that level, I just knew damn if I do, damn if I don't. If I get beat by you, I got to hear it, like, he was just better. But then if I throw it away, it's like, what are you doing racing the guy? But me still pride.
Your team would be like, what are you doing,
like,
dude?
But then they're pissed that I'm like getting beat. So, but this moto right here, you catch up, you pass me, you make a mistake. Yeah. And then I think I end up getting back around. Yeah, you made a mistake, and I held you off for a couple laps, and you made this mistake, and then I was able to win this moto. But I'm like, it's Red Bud. I love this place. And I remember the second moto, you got a bad start, and I probably had 10 seconds on you, like on there. And I remember hitting the little tail top in the middle of the infield. I'm like, all right, he coming. All right, let me save my energy. And then if you remember this race, as soon as you caught up to me, like, I picked up the pace, and dude, we had like a great battle. And I actually felt like I had the thing won. There was only 2 laps left, and then I came in there and hit that damn hay bell.
You did.
There, and
so
that was it.
I'm a true confession. You had me on the ropes there. Hey, if you would,
told you, I knew it.
You had me. I was right. I'm like, you know what? F it. He's got me. He's got me on this one. I did have Epstein-Barr there. I will say that and I was so pissed at myself, and I didn't want to complain at the time and be like, and I was just going to say, you got me. But dude, my tongue was dragging right there so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, they hate.
Oh yeah, you had me. You actually started to pull away a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I surrendered. I'm like, you got me. Good job, man.
Yeah, but I mean, the same goes. Like it was. I mean, I couldn't.
Dude.
Yeah, I know, I get it, and but I can still sleep at night. Like it bothers me because that was the only one. I never beat you that year. I mean, I got a couple of Moto 1 wins and stuff, but I think that was like one of the first races that like you didn't fall. No. You know, we both was up, and then like I felt like I'm like, all right, I think I got him, and I actually felt good that moto on there because I was saving my energy for half the race until you got there on there, and then going back to even our 06 Washougal, same thing on there. Like I just had to race you differently outdoors, and you know, I think it started from that 2-stroke that first year, and then that in the 06.
Dude, I felt bad for you on that 2-stroke, by the way.
Well, I mean, appreciate you saying that.
I really do. Like, I'm like, I'd be like, and you were, I mean, dude, you're the fastest rider ever, in my opinion. And I'm just like, you just do a ride for that thing fast. Dude, I'm like, I got him today.
Yeah.
I'm going to lean on that. And I was just winning because I had more horsepower. Yeah. I really had more torque, you name it. But what I wanted to ask you keep going back to Washougal, and that was an epic battle.
Yeah.
Do you recall we were kind of like in the very back section, and we were going so slow around this corner. I can't remember if this is what it was. You were in front of me.
Yeah.
And you wanted me to did you want me to go by you because you wanted to hound me?
This one?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. That race, or was it the race? Was it the first moto maybe?
Well, that was the first moto right there.
Or maybe at the beginning of the moto?
No, I think so. Are you saying that because like how quickly you caught me?
No. I thought like, because when I was racing you, like I always wanted to be behind you. So like I would kind of slow up sometimes and like want you to pass me. And I felt like it was the same for you. Like in the back section, you were going so slow, and I knew, I'm like, dude, there's no way that he's doing this, you know, like he's faster than this. I'm like, he just fucking wants me to go by him so he can hound me like a dog, dude.
Well, no, outdoors, I never did. Supercross, I did.
Yeah.
Supercross, I would do that because I felt like.
Really?
Yeah, Supercross.
Dude, I thought for sure outdoors, I'm like, this dude, he wants to hound me.
No, because I was always a part. What happened? Where were we at? Going back up to that beginning part of the year, first moto at High Point on there.
Yeah.
And like, all right, I got the 4-stroke, and then I won the first race on there with a 1-2 or whatever, the mud race. And then the second one, like, all right, we're going at it. And it was the first time I'm on the 4-stroke. I had conscience, like, I think I can get him. There was no 06, I'm 05, 2-stroke.
Yeah.
I think I can get this guy. Well, again, I woke up in the hospital. And then so then I came back the following week, and then I won the first moto and watched you at Southwick. You went down. I messed up my knee and all that stuff. So I came back. I won the first moto because you went down. Second moto, we battle, and I'm like exhausted. And I'm like, okay, we're going to tie on points. So, all right, no big deal. And my bike blew up. So from that point, like that, it started becoming like, well, all right, I'm out of this championship, and this bike is terrible. I never felt like I was comfortable enough on the motorcycle to be able to like follow you. Like in Supercross, it was enough I can hop around the racetrack and stuff. Outdoors, like you have to rely on bike setup, and that bike was like terrible. So I never raced you outdoors where I was like, I'm just gonna stay behind him because I knew I couldn't. I would slow down in places that I knew you couldn't get around me on there, and just kind of like,
maybe that's what.
So that's probably what it was on there. You caught up to me, and I'm like, all right, if we're in the back, I know he ain't gonna be aggressive and pass me, like try to like knock me off, and I'm gonna rest up so I can like try to hold him off technically working the game on there. So when you hit me often, when you knocked me off the track, I was like, oh hell no. I said, oh hell no. I'm giving this to you, bro. Like I'm not trying to I know the only way I'm gonna beat you, either you're gonna fall or you're gonna let me stay in front of you with 2 laps, and I think I can hold on to this thing for 2 laps. So if you're gonna hit me like this, I'm not even really racing you. And then so I was like, oh hell no. But I remember because right here,
dude, you came out of nowhere, dude. I'm like, okay, if I can get through this corner, I've got him, because it will get.
I was coming, I was like, bam!
You did,
dude, I was like, hell no on there, and then still. I was like, all right, when you came back up, you caught me again, and I think you just go around the outside of me.
See, you go back to that, and that's where I feel, dude, I thought for sure, I'm like, this dude wants me to go by him so he can just dog me out.
No way.
See, that's how I was with you, though.
Yeah.
Like if you were behind me, there were times where I wanted you to get the whole shot.
Yeah, I was that way in Supercross, but outdoors, no, I didn't. And
really?
No, and I don't know how many times in Supercross did you feel like that. I mean, I think
I felt like that every single race in Supercross. I'm like, well, he's playing with me, and the first one goes when we were in Toronto. I was so pissed. I think I told your manager. I'm like, that's bullshit, man. This guy's just toying with me. I'm like, he just needs to go the hell on and blow me away. That's just shitty etiquette.
Yeah, well,
that's the only time I ever was like bummed with you at the track. I'm like, dude, you should have just went on, because you was toying with me so bad. I was like, dude, he's just embarrassing me in front of all these. Well, there wasn't a lot of people there that night.
Yeah, it was like hold for 3 people. That's because I got embarrassed all year long before and outdoors, and I appreciate you saying that the 4-stroke and
I felt bad for you.
But Scott Taylor, he didn't the whole camp. Nah, I mean, Ricky, you won on a 250 against Wyndham and that year. It wasn't the bike; it was just on that. And dude, it killed me on that. 05 really, you put a damper in my
outdoor career against us.
I mean, seriously. So Toronto, it was payback from all that. On there, I'm like, all right, cool.
You got me back, bud. And I'm just telling you.
Yeah, and I knew how your training system worked. I knew it was okay. It's still December,
I was still in
you were still about to get in boot camp, so I think I'm gonna catch them. Probably not completely in shape, and I think for me, I didn't even finish outdoors that year, so there was a lot of I needed to prove it to myself. Yeah. So it was a big feather in my cap just to kind of to be able to do that, and it wasn't necessarily toying you, but it got to a point to where I'm like, I think he knows that I can pass him whenever I want. So I think you were trying to just stay up. So you slowed down even more, which made me all right, dude, I can roll around this inside. And I was just finding some good lines on there. And I was I'm going to stay back here. I'm going to just stay back here, because I was trying to prove that I was in shape too for myself. Yeah. So that's why I didn't want to go past you until the end. And I remember I won that race. It was a championship. And I remember you came down to the start and you went one of these, you gave me a good job, but I knew shit, did I screw up right here? I pissed this guy off.
You did it.
And then we show up in Anaheim, and then that was a fun race. But you were a lot better when you got to Anaheim, and you went down in the whoops that year. Yeah. But I think it was just more me trying to recover from all the 05 ass whoopings outdoors, because it was the first time my whole career and you amateurs included that I ever lost, and I knew going to the gate that I couldn't win, and I felt like I knew why I couldn't do that, but the the people and all that stuff, and then it all really went down when we got to Unadilla.
Yeah, when you made huge improvements, obviously from 05 to 06, but this is when because really I had never raced with you up until, like, a lot of people, I know we grew up together and a lot of family history there, watching you grow up, riding together as amateurs, but we never raced together until 05.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have a lot of experience with actually racing with you, but the leaps and bounds that you made from your 05 season to your 06, you were just, it was so much fun to race with you. I never had to look over my shoulder, especially 05 or 06, 07.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like, dude, I knew you were coming. Like, you were going to be the guy that was going to beat me. You had enough. You were clearly faster, and because you were so fast and you had that raw talent, it could take you deep into the race. That I couldn't outwork you in Supercross. I just couldn't. It's just like you were just that much faster.
Yeah,
that much faster. So
yeah, well, I appreciate that, and I think it's cool to be able to, kind of reminisce on this, because I can take, we can go back here and go through this. This was a fun race too.
It was, wasn't it?
It was a fun race. We lapped the whole field, by the way.
Did we?
We lapped the whole field. Well, Nick Way, I think, got third that night, and we lapped the whole field, and they cut it down to like 11 laps or something.
Dude, you know what's crazy about this?
Almost blew my...
Hey, we were racing. We were racing this mud race.
Oh, yeah.
We weren't just trying to survive.
No.
We actually were racing. Like, you see the poor Chad, he just hating it right now. Like, me and you going by, I'm like, okay, yes, that's a good points night. We're a good points night. But we straight up, it was ridiculous. I remember at one point in that race saying, I can't believe how fast we're going in the mud.
I think everybody else, we lapped third place on there in 10 laps on there. But right here,
I don't know what I was doing right there.
No, so like I made a mistake. You got around me because it was all about like this section, and we were having a hard time like trying to double and get through this. But to your point of like racing, no, we literally was racing, and that's what I respected you so much, because it was always clean racing. But I knew no matter what, like I got the best of you. And that's why I almost feel like you were easier to race a little bit than Chad, because I felt like, okay, if you ain't sandbagging me, like I knew you could pick up the pace if you followed me. And that's why I hated racing you in heat races. But at the same time, like, I just knew you wouldn't all of a sudden go 2 seconds a lap faster where Chad was. So I knew racing you, like, there was no... This is where I got you, the on-off right here. I knew if I got that, I was pretty good.
I wasn't going to do that.
And
I remember that.
But it was fun, and we wasn't aggressive.
You know what blows my mind is, like, I didn't even care about racing you in heat races. The dude that you know how you felt about me in heat races, that's how I felt about Chad in heat races. Because I'm like, he'd be laying an egg in practice. I'm like, this dude's we're going to line up for the heat race. He's going to see all my shit, and then he's going to he's going to show up for the main event. And like, I was instantly in a bad attitude, where you're going to show up. I didn't matter. I'm like, dude, I don't care. I might as well he can follow me. He's already got it. You know what I'm saying? So actually, I wasn't showing you anything. I always felt like I was showing Chad something.
That's funny.
Does that make sense?
That's funny. No, because for whatever reason, like, that's partly why I started like only doing one lap in practice and like hot laps, because again, like, I knew for whatever reason this little redheaded cat, like, you could pick it up, and just your determination, like, you would race me. The only time like I knew at one point is when towards the end of the season, if you started trying to protect you at a points lead, and you knew like, all right, seconds, then I knew like you wouldn't do that. But 3/4 of the year, like, we were racing on there. So you were good enough. If in the heat race, what ended up happening was, if I pull a whole shot, I'm gonna haul ass. I don't even want you to see my lines. But if I had to come past you or whatnot, then I would slow down. And so I just knew by showing you that for whatever reason, you go back that hour and a half and then come to main event, that gap that I had over you was gone. And it was all because I felt like you were following me in the heat race and, pick up those lines. So for you feeling like that with Chad, I never had no issues racing Chad in the heat race. Like, cause I knew no matter what, he
didn't want that smoke, bro.
Yeah. Like,
I'm telling you.
But let me ask you this.
And he knew that.
No, and he knew. And that's why, like, when I met up with him about a year ago, and we had these same conversations, and I felt like in 2009, Chad almost had me in the championship. Like I won, I think 12 races that year, and I won the title by 4 points. But he was second. But he showed up at Seattle, and I looked at him in practice track walk, and I was like, "There's something wrong with this cat. There's something wrong with this track." And he got like 9th that night, and that's when I got the points lead. But if he would have finished second, he would have won that title because there was nothing else I could do. Actually, I think he only had to finish second for the rest of the season. And,
why did you bury yourself at the beginning of the series? I can't remember.
Yeah, 25 points, right?
Well, he got 3rd that night, but remember I hit neutral and he ran in the back of me, and I got knocked out at Anaheim, the first race. So,
that's right. And the whoops, little, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then so that happened, and then I won 7 races in a row to tie him. And then I got to Daytona. I take over the points lead at Atlanta, roll, and finally got that bike working. Mm-hmm. Then I started feeling like I did against him in a 07 on the Cowie. And then I went down in the first corner at Daytona. He wins. I think I finished 6th or something. And then, but he was just finishing second every race. He was finishing second, and he was always there. And so,
that's why he was so hard to beat.
Yeah.
The dude, like, he was fast enough to be a threat. He wouldn't hang it out like you or I would. I mean, that's how I think I got the best of him, because I was willing to get crazy and get out of my comfort zone. This is before you came into the scene.
Yeah.
And then, but he had like no weak spots.
No. I'm telling you, like if I had to pick somebody to race against, and I feel like I would want to race you because I knew you were going to give it, like you were going to get it. And I kind of knew what I was getting. And so even though you were harder to race in a sense where, I mean, if you're on it, like you'll beat me. And Chad was the same way. Like he had his a lot of times where I'm like, all right, dude, I got to race him. But I never really had races like this with Chad, like I did with you. Like, I mean, a lot of these things we went down. This is the last lap at San Diego. Yeah. We had a few of those, Orlando. So I never really had that like with Chad, even though he was like hell of good in Supercross. But it was just a fact of, like you said, like practice, he can be rolling around, and then heat race, you can go blow him off. And then the main event, give him a start. And then all of a sudden, especially at like San Diego, like dude would just show up, and then it was frustrating because you're like, where the hell did this come from? But that was a big one right there.
Yeah,
I thought that was it. I'm like, all right, cool, and then I clip a hay bale and couldn't start the damn bike,
dude. I mean, you didn't win a championship that year.
Yeah. I mean, you could say that. I mean, if you didn't make the main event, so I look at...
No, I did make the main. My shock broke in the main event.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you shocked on... But
what race was that?
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
That's the scariest...
The boat?
No, that was Dallas, right?
That was a couple races after that, Dallas.
There's stupid whoops again. I freaking hate the whoops. Dude, you were crushing me there. I'm like, gosh, damn it. I just need to get through these things. And I tried.
Bruh, that's why, and I always, that's why I go back. When I think of Ricky Carmichael, I think of 06, the boat. And that's what respect, man. Because those whoops were gnarly that night. And I don't know if like I wouldn't even go down your line. What you didn't see during that race.
Bad line? It was my line?
You had a terrible line.
What was wrong with it?
You were going down the roughest spot, and the funny part was, if you would have had a camera, if you had a camera behind you, you would have saw what I was doing following that line. I almost went in the boat a few times myself, like it was bad. So I switched up and went down the far inside, which would have been like the outside coming over that thing, but it put me on the inside, and there was like literally like a half a Bridgestone, a patch. And nobody went there because if you made one mistake, you'd be off. You hit the hay belt. But that's why I was so fast. So when you came and you sent it down the middle, and I'm like, all I hear is the crowd like, oh, I'm like, yes. And then so I'm like, all right, I got this thing. And then I get in, get in the rhythm section. And the one thing with the reason that bike in 06 was so tough, because that frame was soft. So Dallas that year was super hard, but they always had like little soft spots. And I remember landing in the thing. Same thing happening on Yamaha. It wobbled a little bit, and I just wobble off on there, land on the hay bale, go down. Instead of winning by 3 points, I get second. I lose the championship by 2 points. So even if I would have won that race, I would have won the title. We would have went down to Vegas. We would have all been. I would have been 2
winner
points.
Take all.
Winner take all on there. So Ricky in the boat helped me out. Me going down instead of winning, that 3 points cost me. I went backwards, and I knew Chad. I'm like, dude, I got him. And Chad was doing what he does. Like, he was waiting for one of us to screw up or get to Vegas and show up, which he did.
Send.
Yeah.
Full send.
Yeah, there he goes. Yeah, there he goes. Remember Steve Bruin? I think yeah, I think Guy B was down in there.
Guy,
look see where I'm going?
Yeah. Dude,
I'm
your line looks
yeah. So,
your line was just as bad as mine. What are you talking about?
I'm telling you, I can't find this race on YouTube to watch it. But go back before I passed you. Like, dude, I had moments. This dude's doubling through the whoop. They were gnarly. And I didn't care. Lap or not, I'm going right down that side.
Oh,
yeah. And then look at my ass over here. They're showing replays of you running the boat. And then I'm over there, like, in the hay bales. And then I was in. And yes, Chad takes the win. And then Chad goes into Vegas. Like, if he beats you.
I looked over and...
Yeah, you looked over.
They were like, what's he doing?
Yeah, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Look at the bike. It's all torn. But that's so going back to your point, why I like racing you when you say I preferred you right on me. Like, because because me being out front, like sometimes that would happen on there. Like, I got this thing, no big deal, but I love having people right on me. It kept me sharp on my feet. But yeah, watch.
Not me, dude.
Yeah, so when you were behind me, I was the most comfortable there compared to if I had like 10 seconds on you. I didn't like racing that way. I wanted you right on me. So there's hot sauce.
Yeah, he was riding good that year.
Yeah, I felt bad for him in Toronto that year. I landed on him. And
it is what it is. You can't turn back the time.
Yeah, but I think it was that particular, I remember in that practice, this was I was in there. And I actually think all three of us rode good that night.
Yeah, perfect. You remember you were talking a little bit earlier about Seattle when you saw Chad on the track walk and you're like, this dude's off. I'm telling you, when I felt like he was off that night when we were at opening ceremonies, and you might not remember this, but you and I were having a good conversation, and he was just like, his head was down on the on his handlebar, and normally he's all giddy and having a good time. I'm like, and I thought, I'm like, man, he's off tonight. He's off tonight. And this is the first time I'm like, dude, he might buckle.
Yeah, and you might at Vegas
for where I had to beat him to win the AMA.
Yeah,
the AMA championship, and so it just made me think of when you were at Seattle that time, and you in 2009.
Yeah, and it's funny. I remember a couple times in outdoors, like you would come up to me right before the race, and you'd be like, "Damn, that track rough." Like, this motherfucker, like, I know it's rough on there, but
I wasn't messing with you, by the way.
But I thought you were messing with me, like, on there. I'm like, I mean,
he still might not. He still might not believe me. But I swear,
I'm kind of a little questioning on that one.
That's what I'm like. Come on, man.
But like, to me, like, again, your strong point was you're in shape on there, and of course you can say it's hot as hell out there, it's rough, and of course, like, the only thing that, like, I got speed, but I felt like outdoors, you felt like you had that in race. So yeah, I mean, I guess in my mindset, this is where I say, you know, in life now, like, you have to understand that maybe the way you look at things and how if you said it, what you mean, maybe he didn't mean it that way. Because I know if I came and said that, I was doing it for a reason. Like,
really?
I would do it for a reson. Like,
see, again, I wouldn't feel like you would be that way.
That's because you probably, come on.
Straight up.
The good part about, dude, we start private planes. It was everything that we did, and I would say it's missing a little bit now. It was the advantage to beat each other. Just we talked about how Roxon and Tomac on the plane. We wouldn't do that on there unless there was a way that we can get, beat the other. So by you coming and telling me that it's rough, it's outdoors, it's hot. I know you're strong at the end of the day on there. So if you're going to say it's rough, then it's going to make me, God damn, on there. And so I just felt like all our conversations, like, especially when it came down to race time, it was like you were competitive. Like you wasn't going to help me, or you weren't going to tell me that, like, I'm tired on there. Jay, I'm tired. Yeah. I think the track's too rough. Like, it was a way of, like, getting in my head. I didn't think it was malicious or anything. I just thought, like, I mean, we were that close, and it's a way to, like, beat the other guy. Like,
off on the track.
Yeah. Oh. And, but to your point with Chad, I actually thought that night, I felt like I knew he was going to show up. Because for whatever reason, at Vegas, because I knew he rode good on hard pack.
He had beaten me there every single year I've ever raced him.
And he did. And so I remember, like, he was nervous, which we all kind of were. But when he showed up at Seattle that year, it was from track walk. Like, he was just, hood up, just, he looked sick on there. And then I guess he was sick, and I could just tell, like. And honestly, luck played in my favor because he went down in the first corner. I think if he didn't went down, he probably would still ended up like second or third because he still was that good. But had a rough day, and then he went down, and then he just never got going, and he lost the title that night.
For Vegas in 2007, like, I knew, like, just like I wasn't going to beat you for the world championship. I knew that, and then I knew what was at stake, and it was for the AMA deal. AMA championship, and my only goal was, like, and it was a fine line because you are so fast. I mean, all everywhere, but especially Supercross, and you would have me on the ropes all the time. If I rode your pace, I would get tight every single race that we've ever raced except Orlando. If I tried to race your pace, I would get tight every time. So, like, I'd have to back it off a quarter, and then you'd get me and, like, pull away. I'd be like, damn it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to keep his pace. I'm going to try to follow you for 10 laps. And if I can do that, surely we can gap Chad, and then I can just back off a little bit, and preserve my arms. That was kind of my strategy. I didn't even try to beat you. Number one, I couldn't have because you were that much better. And then I just like, okay, I'm going to give it all I can. I'm going to follow him for 10 laps and try to stay as close to him for 10 laps. And then, dude, it freaking worked out perfect.
No, I would say that. But we were a lot closer. We both had our moments because you're thinking that, I wish I would have known all this when we were racing, but.
You'd have let me by on that one?
No, you were not beating me that night. I had to get the world championship, but I had like 15 points.
If you got second, you would have won anyways.
Well, yeah, no, I know. I think I could have got like 7th on there because I had quite a bit of points. But by you doing that, I was in a position where the only chance I had was hopefully you would try to run my pace and you would go down. Because if I was able to, I needed to beat you by like 5, but I think you and Chad were 2. So if I beat Chad, I think I would have tied him, which I would have ended up with more points. So your plan was, it was kind of hurting me in the sense because I knew Chad was going to ride good. Yeah. But I was going to the pace to where, like, you were there, and I knew, like, if you kept following me that you were going to stay in front of Chad, but I couldn't, like, really slow down to where, like, Chad would get up. So I was hoping that you would continue to run that pace, and then you would hit the ground on there, and then I would end up winning the title. So I was stuck in the sense of, like, I mean, damn, I'm pulling him to keep him in front of Chad, but if I slow down, then I don't really see,
Chad would be the beneficiary of that.
And to be honest, and I would tell Chad here, I wanted you to win more than him. And I don't know why on there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I did. And so it was kind of like,
I would hope so. I mean, we grew up together. Damn, man.
But that's because I felt like with Chad.
It was me and you versus him.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that? I felt that.
Yeah, I felt like it definitely it was because he was an outsider. And even though it wasn't like we were teams because we raced each other just as hard. I just felt like respectfully, I didn't have to worry about, you taking me out on there. And I just got that with Chad. But we've had history, which I probably started back in Unadilla too. But I hated Chad because I could beat the guy 99 times. And if he won once, he would be holding number one plate in his hands. Like he could always show up, and he had so much confidence, and it ate me alive that like I can never break him. So I just felt like, well, damn, if I let this dude win this thing on there, and he finished second 90% of the races, like I just rather you win the race. Like I wanted you to win. So at that race in Vegas, it was like of course I wanted to win, but I'm like, if I can't, then I'd rather this cat win. Because I always felt like with you, like I knew I crashed. I could always go back to reasons why I lost, and that made me at least sleep better at night on there. And I would feel like you would always go, look, like I'm in it to win it, overall. But you felt like there was you kind of conceded that a lot of times I was faster, where Chad never said that. Like Chad would never like give me that prop. So I think just racing you respectfully, like I would feel like you would win the title. You were the best overall, clearly. But you knew, like,
I wasn't faster than you.
You wasn't faster. Where I don't think Chad, if he would have won, he would have been like, I'm the best ever. Like, this is how it is. And I just think me racing, it was in the animosity with Chad. I wanted you to win because I just respected you for running in the boat. Dude, whatever it took.
I'm bummed about that line. I thought I had the line, bro.
No. Well,
no.
No.
Who knew?
Well, let's take a quick break. And we'll come back and we'll catch up on some more stories. I think this has been good.
Oh, yeah, this is good stuff.
RC4. We'll be right back. What's up, guys? It's your boy, James Stewart. You see this shirt I got on? Now, I know we all a family. We all be coming out here. Everybody wants to be a part of Bubba's world. I want to be a part of it. But if you want to, make sure you click on this link because you can get this shirt. At least you can get this far. We got a bunch of things coming in the future, some exciting things. And I know you send in your videos, maybe you can end up on the show that way. But if not, always make sure you get this pretty shirt, black and white, and some more coming soon. Click this link right here, go get yours. All right, guys, we're back. Of course, the greatest of all time, Ricky Carmichael, is sitting here in Haines City. I'm lucky to have him. I think this is, he hasn't been down here in 50 years, it seems like, but raced all these races with this guy. So we're here back. But I wanted to ask you about Eldon Baker, because that's one experience that we had a lot of similarities and things throughout our career, but he's one of the guys that we personally worked with and benefited us in different ways, but helped us throughout our career. So how did you end up hooking up with Eldon? And I think I know the reason why you would make that decision to hire him, but like, how did that whole transpire back in 2000, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I hired him halfway through 2000, season of 2000. So 99, 450 Supercross, 250 back then.
Yep.
I really wasn't hitting the mark. And then going into the 2000 season, I still felt like I was behind where I needed to be, and I had all this success on 125s. And like, how do I get to where I was in the 125s? I need to be at that level in the 250s.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have the off track stuff dialed in. Gym, dieting, really that was the only two things.
Yeah.
So at the time, Johnny O'Mara, actually, Osho was helping me throughout my whole career. You went on to work with Johnny.
Yep.
I think he's a great mentor. Johnny starts putting out his feelers, and he's like, hey, I know this one guy, he's racing mountain bikes. He's got some gym knowledge. I think he might be good for you. So we put that in motion. And one thing led to another. I ended up signing him right after Vegas Supercross in 2000. And he was back in South Africa. And he ended up getting over here just before Southwick. Yeah. I signed him to a deal. It might have been, I can't remember, it might have been a 1-year trial. And I paid him $30,000. 30,000. And maybe 10 for a title or something like that. That was the first year. Well, then the next year, like I doubled his salary for 2001. So then he's making 60 grand. And so he helped me tremendously off the bike. Yeah, for sure. With dieting, with gym work, and then of course cardio. That which I never really even hired him to do cardio, just gym and diet.
Oh wow! So it was more.
Yeah, like hey, this is your role, dude. I need you for the gym. We're going to get buff. I need more strength because I thought that I had everything worked out, on the on-track stuff. Like, listen, that was my domain. You ain't messing with that.
Yeah. Dude. And at this time you were still working with Johnny. That's right. Like even still with Eldon.
He was my coach.
Yeah.
Yep. So one thing led to another, and the role of the cardio started to become more of Eldon's position. Yeah. And so he ran those 3 parts of my career. I never really, like I said, never let him get too involved in the on track. I had that sorted out. To save for everyone and time that we have, we could talk about him forever. I don't regret anything of our 7 years together. We had a great run. And yeah, I will say I'm disappointed the way that it ended. 100%. There's some things that there's some misunderstandings. Yeah. I got Epstein-Barr, and I don't know if he was aware of it or whatever it might be, but it didn't end the way that I wanted to. But at the same time, again, I don't have any regrets from our 7 years together, and it's been amazing. What is amazing to me, and probably you could speak to this, is when I worked with him, you ain't practicing with your competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, it's like a full-blown Supercross main event.
It's the motto. Yeah, it's
like
the motto.
What changed? Like, what was he like with you?
No, he wasn't like that. And I understand what you're saying with Eldon, because I felt like at our end it kind of went south, for whatever reasons. But I'm the same way. Like, I think what he did for me, like just mentally, and also almost stopping, stopping someone else from having him to a point. And I think at that point, I was like you. I knew I had everything on the motorcycle, and I actually didn't even really feel like fitness wasn't where I was actually struggling to the point to where maybe say you were like on that. Like I knew I was strong. I was sugar watering it for main events, get my hype up, like whatever. I didn't lose too many races because I'm like, dude, I'm just out of shape on there for other reasons. So, but Eldon brought that, just kind of mental side of things to me, and it also made other people look at me different too. So that was one question. But when he was like, no, like I'm paying him high dollar because look, his whole motto was like, you don't need to be with anybody else. I mean, the way we and Ricky did it was just us. That's part of your winning. It's part of our whole program. It's us. It's a secret. So when we split up, it was like instantly he had Villo. I think he got Roxon. Well, Roxon came a little bit later, but there was like a few people in that whole program. And I think his reasons behind that is because I don't think Villo was paying him as much as like we were. And so he was able to say,
don't say we.
Hold on. Let me
I
flip
got a
that
deal.
I know. Let me flip that W upside down. Me, what it was. But I mean, at the same time, he was worth every penny to me. On that. But I think that was part of the, his thing of probably opening it up, because he went to Villos, and at that time, that's kind of when the market, the world started crashing. So the funding and money wasn't out there. So he fell into at the perfect time from working with you to coming in with me And then like, so he had 2 riders that just dominated the sport for the last 10 years on there. And then so the opportunity for Ryan was, I would say, like the same way Ryan Billow was the same way you were in 2001, where people looked at him like he's so fast, but he needs that extra. And that's when Eldon popped in. And then so when he did that, it was like he worked with Weimer and other guys. So I think partly it was the economy, the history that he had, and the opportunity that they weren't paying him as much as I was, that he was able to like kind of come in with a little bit of power and say, well, if you guys want me, unless you're going to pay me X amount of dollars, this is what I'm going to have some other guys. And then it completely flipped on how he was. And so now he has this whole Baker program, and dude, more power to him. That dude runs that show on there. And, and I know he's done, and he's had so much success in his career. It's kind of like Belichick or Nick Saban in the sense to where it ain't him, it's you. Like, my program works, right? And I think sometimes that can it gives people confidence, but it also can hurt other guys and stuff. And I think it's every rider needs a little bit of different. Like, again, what he did for you, my program was different than yours. I didn't need as much training on like off the bike, and that's where, like, when I hired Johnny, I was kind of going in that direction. Like, dude, I don't ride enough. I need a ride. I don't get the sensation of maybe Ricky did by around 2 hours. That doesn't make me happy. I don't feel stronger. So I think his program might be kind of tailor suit. Like, look, all the history, it works. Filippo, Ryan Dungey, Ricky, James. So this is the outline. This is what you do. And maybe that works for, 90%, but the other kid, it doesn't work. And that's why I think you always have the guys that are successful, and then maybe like Jake Weimertz and some of the other guys that maybe necessarily don't benefit from his program as much because, talent-wise, whatever it is. Yeah. So, but he has a great program, and he's got the deal between the whole Husky, KTM, and all that, and the whole setup. We were so close to doing that when we were deciding when I was going to go a different way. He actually came to me, and he was like,
wanted to do here?
Yeah, he was like, well, what if, we back it down and I'll bring in lights guys? And the things that transpired with me, I was like, I'm out. Like, no, I'm out. I don't want to do it. And but he wanted to do that with me here. And, but he was going to be working with the lights guys and stuff. Right. I was like, so, but it's good. I mean, dude, he's got a successful program. And now, I mean, you look at from what he's doing, I would say kind of me, you, and Chad are the ones that started this facility. You first, and then I got my place, and then, they ramped up. But that's kind of a continuation of what Eldon's doing. He just did it to another level. And with KTM and Husky, I think that spawned up Star doing their thing with your spot. And I think it's going to continue doing it. So, I think I had a chance. He came to my Hall of Fame.
Congrats, by the way.
I appreciate that.
Well deserved.
Appreciate the text that morning.
Yeah.
But it was the first time I've talked to him really since we kind of, went our separate ways. And he was cool. Like, it was good. We got caught up, and we both were like, man, just like anything, is like communication and what I thought was going on and what he thought. Like, I just wish we'd have known back then, and maybe things would have been different. But nonetheless, I mean, I was honored to have him there, and what he's did for my career, I can never say a negativity about.
That's right.
I needed him for what I needed to do, and I know you feel the same way. And so I just think it's it's changed the sport, but it is different the way like we were taught. And
completely different. And to your point, we had a great 7 years together, and I have no regrets at all. Am I disappointed on the way it went down and ended? Of course I am. I mean, when you spend that much time with someone, it's going to hurt, when you have a bad goodbye. But nevertheless, you got to applaud the man. He's done a great job, and I think he'll continue to do a good job. To your point, I feel like there are guys, certainly, that his program benefits more than others.
Yep.
And, those guys are the lucky ones.
But it is weird to see how it's changed, how it went so one-on-one.
Everything private. You can't have this guy over.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe he changed with the times, because, I didn't think about it until right now, but the market did change a lot. And so maybe that opening up where guys weren't making that much money, they weren't going to pay him. And, but I know it fell for him. I'm sure like he's like stoked because he has people who's working for underneath him to train other guys. But I think that just the success that he fell into, I wouldn't say fell, but he was in the right situations from you to me that built up this perspective and this program to where like it works. And then what he did with Villapoto, you can't really question it. And so I think us as riders, we know the insights and we can see like, all right, if this is the motto and this is how it works, you should be able to give anybody this piece of paper and they should be able to go out and do it. And so I think sometimes maybe it's riders, like we can kind of see through that, but there's no doubt that, when guys go with them, they get better. They get better. And maybe throughout, then they find out maybe the program doesn't work for them, but his program does work. And it does build champions. I think at the end of the day, he helped me, he helped you.
Yep.
But I will say, I felt like Billo did at the end, like where he was, you do these programs and then like you're exhausted. Like you're like, I don't even want to race because it was all business. It was all business. And maybe before, like, especially with me and Ricky, it was strictly one-on-one. So all his attention was really, dude was coming and staying at my crib down here. I talked to him 5 times a day. Maybe it's a little bit different now, but I'm sure Villo kind of went through that too of like, dude, it's all or nothing and
nonstop. It definitely takes the longevity out of the sport. Yeah, for sure. You can't burn that flame at both ends like that. I mean, physically, mentally, it's just tiring. And what people don't understand, I don't feel like, is you take someone like James or myself. We've ridden and trained so long, so many hours since we were little kids. Mm-hmm. When I say little kids, I'm talking 4 or 5 years old.
Grinding.
You know what I mean? You can, an athlete can only do it for so freaking long.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say, like with my career, the way, like it ended well when I retired officially, but it wasn't. It wasn't physical. Like I wasn't like hurt or felt like I couldn't do it. It was just I was mentally tired.
Yeah,
I was mentally tired, and I think just other things and really the negativity and the things that the inner working on, team stuff and being lied to and that stuff. That's what really drove me out of it on there. And
I hated race. Yeah. Like I hated going to the races when I was racing because like just the animosity and really people's clique outside of the racers. Like Chad had his posse. Yeah. I never really had an issue with you, obviously, because we had a lot of the same people helping us at the same agency at one time and the same Fox reps at one time. So like
even in your podium speeches, I think there was way more respect in how you guys talked about each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And 100%. I mean, dude, he was eating pancakes at Hillbilly Hills back in the day.
Sneaking Reese cups, pancakes. Miss Sonia's over there whipping them up for me. I'm like, I'm loving it. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. And so that's the history that a lot of people really don't see between James and I. And it's been great to reconnect. And, for a while there, like I always wondered this, and I've never even asked you this. And so I almost felt like when I retired from racing that part of you retired. I felt like, I don't know, like you could have waxed dudes so much more, like I thought for sure this guy's going to be like, he's going to blow by McGrath's record 100%. Like I really thought that. And I'm like, I felt like, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I felt like you lost motivation when I left, which is, and I don't want to sound like I'm being cocky by any means, but I'm just like, I felt like I would watch him like, this dude you could ruin this guy.
Yeah, it wasn't. What? So to your point, I think when the races, like go back to 07, the races you weren't there, like I did ride at a different level. You ride down to your competition. Yeah. Like when you were there, I looked past Chad. You wouldn't even thought I'd knock him out the way. When you weren't, then I would look at Chad and like, okay, I got to beat him. So I think the level of the way the focus and having to be like completely on my game to beat you was a little bit different, like when you weren't there. But I think it was more like racing you, it always brought the best out of me every single weekend. And I think when you weren't there, there was other, like whether it went down or I'm battling with somebody else or whatnot. So I think the level was different. It wasn't a motivation thing. Where things went south for me is once that Yamaha came out. So I got it. In 08, I blew my ACL out. And then so I would have won that Supercross title, no doubt. 100%. On there, go out the outdoors, win all those. And then 09, switch over to Yamaha, end up winning that title, and then I went to Supercross only. So I didn't that was like the last chance or last time on that particular bike. Then they switched to that backwards engine. And so 2010, my navicular broke, so I didn't race that year. So essentially, it went from like I was hurt on there, and then I missed a whole year of learning that Yamaha. And then so last time I won, I was beating all these guys. I still thought like Villa, whatever, I don't care. I'll run through him too. I didn't realize how bad that motorcycle was and how much I struggled. And I struggled from that from 2010 to when I did race, 2011 and 2012 to the point where I was sitting on the hay bale and quit racing on there. And so that was more where my situation went south. And then it took me a while to kind of get over running down the straightaway and falling and not knowing why. So when I got on the Suzuki's, I won the first couple of races, but still it was in my head that I wasn't back. And it wasn't until 2014 where I started coming back to where I felt like I was more back when we raced. Like even though I didn't win, I only won like 5 races that year. I could count 10 of them. I should have easily won. The way I was riding, bad start. Anaheim won, should have won that one. Daytona, I would have won that one, but I ended up getting a pipe smash. So a lot of things like that. And then I got suspended in 2015, which I think in 2015, leading up that off season, it was the best I was riding maybe ever in my career. So it was more of that situation, being hurt, bikes, and then the suspension that kind of derailed more of that.
I didn't realize all of those events. I mean, I was kind of doing my thing with the 4-wheel side of stuff, so that's probably why. But I just was kind of watching from afar. I'm like, dude, he could be punking these guys so easily.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. That's why I asked that. It had nothing to do with like, I swear, like I don't want to sound like a cocky piece of crap.
Yeah, I mean like, that's what you sound like. Yeah, cocky piece of crap.
Right? I know, like your viewers gonna be like, dude, I knew it. I knew RC was cocky.
No, because you're right. Like
I'm like, dude, this dude's gonna be punking fools for a while.
Yeah, and
you probably thought it. I mean, who the hell's gonna beat him?
I mean,
no one.
I thought it too, and again, but to your point, there was a different level I raced with you on there. There's no doubt. And so you are right in the sense of, like, I guess when I raced you, it was always the best of the best. And even if I was clearly better, like it was just still a different level and focus and stuff. And so, but then all those things transpire. And then that's when I tell my brother and I tell other people like how the whole mental side of racing, how things can linger, and it takes not doing it once, not even twice. It takes a while to build up when you have like a history of bad things. And so going through that 2 years Yamaha, it took me another 2 years of like believing in myself. And then at that time, Suzuki was folding up shop. Like I swear, the last time they were really fully invested was you on there, and they had Reed, but then it started going down. And then when DeCosta left, then it was
the beginning of the end.
Yeah, and dude,
how about that? Like when we had RCH, like I felt like that was a negative part for our relationship, and sure. I feel like, dude, I told your team, I'm like, we were sitting at Yosh. I'm like, we have this guy and this guy. Okay, if you're worried about us taking anything away from you, it is you got bigger problems because they had you. You know what I'm saying? And this is before we had Roxon or anyone. It's not no slight towards the riders that we had, but you know who we had the first couple years, and I'm like, they were so threatened, and I'm like, we don't want to take anything away from the program. So I don't know what was told like between you guys or whatever, but I'm just telling you, we were never trying to take anything away from you. We're just trying to say, hey, you guys promised us this. This is what we're going to get.
Yeah.
Well, we know you're the star, but we have this in writing, and you're going to give us this.
Yeah. Well, and then in your defense, it did feel like that. And I think it was because of Suzuki in their budgeting program. I don't know how much they really planned on having RCH and then our team. And so they didn't have the resources. So it was when, as you were saying, no, in contract, this is what you're like, we're getting, it was taking stuff away from us. And so Webb and those guys, like it did get to the point to where like, and I remember talking to Rob, he asked me, he was like, which team do you want to ride on? Because that's team, it's going to get it, like the stuff. And I'm like, okay, it's a new team, carry hard, like Rockstar, like that whole feel, or Yoshimura, which is still somewhat, I guess, the factory team, and that was kind of my team. And so I'm like, I don't know if that's my image right now, you know, with the Red Bull, but I remember having that conversation, and it was like one or the other. And so as you guys are asking for stuff, like what you're getting is, you were taking it away from us. So I think that was part of the animosity of like just the team, like, and competing against each other, when it was really like you just wanted what you were promised. And like, we're like, okay, this new team's coming in there. And then when you got Roxon,
I could see that would give you heartburn.
Yeah, but
I could see that.
Even then, like where Roxon went wrong, where that situation where I got bummed, was that I was stuck on Showa at that time. That's that air fork, and then you guys were, you know, he were getting the good stuff, and he had options to ride that, and then he had the KYB, and then so I'm like, I can't even get what you guys call your satellite team. Like I can't even get different suspension, like, and all that, excuse me, and all that. So I think that's where it really got like ugly between the RCH program and Yoshimura, where they both like separated.
Then JS is like, man, screw RC, he's an asshole. But hey, you know, and it's funny, I'm so glad you mentioned this. So I don't feel that Kenny would have ever been on KYB had you let us use those spring forks, Showa spring forks. We were on those Showa air forks. Yeah. And he wanted to leave the team. He's like, I want spring forks. I want Showa spring forks. I'm like, there they are. So we were talking to like whatever. He's like, no, you guys can't have it. James is using it. I'm like, well, I said, you guys better I said, there's a million other spring forks right there. If you don't give this guy spring forks, he's going to doo-doo all over this brand, Suzuki, and it ain't going to be a good look. So you better figure out a way. JS still has his stuff. And literally, I feel like it was that easy. And I knew that they had the inventory. That was so frustrating part
like, Rod,
for me.
and you can help me. It's the first time like I heard about that. I swear to God.
Really?
First, I had nothing to do with like what y'all got, and even with Kenny, like I wouldn't keep him because I hated air forks, but I knew we had plenty of them. Like, I mean, I wouldn't stop him for running it. You know, I have my own issues going on with that, but it wasn't that. And I think that's why I always talk about what happened with Suzuki, and why part of the reason I retired is because those air forks, they were leaking on there. And then so they were leaking air. But if you remember that year, that's when the whole productions bike, they came out with air forks. So I think that was part of the reason why they didn't want you guys going back on the spring.
Yeah,
and why they forced me to race those air forks on there. And they didn't want the springs out, because they would basically be saying all our production factory wasn't that good. So I think they probably just blamed it on me, saying that, well, James has it.
Really?
But I had nothing to do with it. Nothing.
Oh, dude, because I'm like,
to do with it.
I mean, there was a time where I feel like I jeopardized my relationship with not only the Suzuki in the U.S., but also Japan. For sure. Just fighting to get, like, dude, the spring fork is there. Let him use it. If you don't, he's probably going to try to get out of his contract. You're going to put all of us in a bad spot. And the inventory is there. It's not taking anything away from him. Nope.
No. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean,
and then here we go.
I mean, am I wrong? No. Dude, because I swear to you, like.
Oh, I believe you.
No, I'm just saying, but I just think that was that was a cover up. Yeah, it was a cover up, but it pinned us against each other because as I'm like, all right, you guys we can't get the parts that you guys are getting. And like before that, we're shortage on supplies because like I'm at the pick between like RCH, like they get the engines and now we can't get the engines. And so I think they were pretty much kind of blaming like the teams instead of being just like, look, we don't want you on spring forks because we got it on the production bike. We don't have enough inventory and money to support 2 factory teams. So we're just gonna make it. Well, James has it, so you can't get it, and then like that's how it was. So even though we were on Suzuki's, like honestly, I hated you guys.
There was a lot of vitriol inside of both teams. It wasn't a healthy relationship by any stretch. And the crazy thing is, I was never bummed at you. I was bummed at Yosh management is what I was upset with. It was just so much hatred between the two. And quite frankly, dude, we weren't even on your guys' level as far as where we needed to be, until we got Ken. And it was like, I knew, because I knew that, I didn't know, but I had an idea it wasn't coming from you. You know what I mean? You're not an egregious person.
No,
and your ability.
Yeah, and just to be transparent, I wasn't even going to go down that. But the reason why the Instagram thing happened was because I was told by Suzuki that the reason why you guys needed it because I was washed up. Like you said, I was done, washed up. And that's where it was coming from. And so that's where that animosity, I'm like I don't ain't got nothing to do with this. Like so when we couldn't get parts,
it was rode for us because I got the band back together.
I should have. I mean? But again, like when it was like I didn't choose to go to RCH and all that, and again, that's where they were like, well, you were like, he's washed up, he's done on there. You guys need to give us the factory stuff like on there. That team's done, and so that's what I was told, and that's what I'm like, man. Him then, like
then he blocked me.
Yeah, no. So I was like,
but then in Australia, you got bummed at me because I said I thanked you for not going, so you gave me some cheddar, dude.
What happened there? Oh,
we didn't go to Australia.
You didn't go to Australia.
Yeah,
is this a hot subject?
No, I mean it was. I was hurt. I was hurt, and
so I got up there. The only thing I said is I got to thank James Stewart for not being here, so it gave me the opportunity.
Yeah. I was getting text messages.
Yeah,
from that
I do remember that. I do remember. So I doubled down. Then I think I blocked you on Twitter. Then
did you?
No.
Dude, it bummed me out because for the longest time, I'm like, what the hell did this guy block me for? I thought it was just for that. I didn't know it was a Suzuki thing, and that's crazy. Me and saying JS is washed up, but anyhow.
Yeah, I mean,
I think in that deal, I hate to talk about that company like that because they've taken great care of me, you, and we had a great history, but seems like there was a lot of this person said this person said that as far as the team stuff goes.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and that sucks is that when you start looking at these companies and stuff, and ultimately at the end of the day, Mike and Kenny and your team, like they work for someone. If there's no money, there's no money, but they're the messengers, so they get the blame for what's happening overseas. Like if we're not funding it, so all the animosity gets taken out on you, on there or me. So
it's Ricky's fault.
It's Ricky. Fault. So you call me washed up. Oh, thanks, James, for not showing up over there. I can't get the forks because I'm washed up. We don't have parts. And, of course, instead of like them coming out and being like, hey, we ain't got the money, we can't really do anything. No R&D support. My contract got cut back. I'm like, dude, I came and rode for free to come over here for you guys. And partly I wanted to because I needed that. But I took a pay cut, and at that time, I I had an offer from KTM that like I turned down because I gave those guys my word that I'm like, all right, I'll ride for you guys. I didn't have a contract. Suzuki, my word.
Sorry, I thought you were going back before Yamaha.
Yeah, no. Sorry. And this was on Suzuki when I started getting back up, right when they came out that new bike. And Dungey was still kind of struggling, and I've had the conversation. We had a couple different ones with RD, the Coster, but it was like I told, you know what, Rob, Mike, we like family here, right? Like, I know you guys are not paying enough, but KTM has got this offer. It's like, what, 3-year deal, maybe even longer. It was a good deal. And I didn't have anything signed, but I just told him the week before, like, okay, I'll do it. Like, I'll come back and raise. And the Costa brings the contract and all that. And I said no to it. And then, so for all that, like, then everything leading forward, the lying, and then, and all, that's why I was like, dude, I'm like, are you kidding me? I would still be racing right now. And I'm looking at Dungey and the whole new motorcycle, and I'm like, this team's like, the budget's cuts. Now I'm fighting with RCAs trying to get stuff, and like,
it's crazy, isn't it?
But as I was going back to my point, unfortunately, instead of looking at the real decisions maker, we all take it out on the people that we see every weekend, and that's you, and that's Webb, and those guys, and they're just doing their job. And I think that's why now, as you get older and we reconnect, it's like
share story. Let's share some stories. Did you say this, or did he say this? I'm like, blah blah blah. And there's a lot of other things that we could probably talk about in that particular deal that it wouldn't be in our best interest to talk about it. But anyhow,
So that was the blockage. On there. You call me washing up.
I was going to say, I was thinking like, okay, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Right? Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
You just had surgery. No, but it was good. And then like I remember even saying like, I don't even like the hard part was I blocked you. But I never even had a conversation. Like, it's not like we spoke to each other. I know it came from you. It was just, it came. So of course you had to say it on there. And then
I could see it building, like the hatred or just the disconnect building when we went that initial meeting at the Yost shop. We're sitting in here, had some bosses from Suzuki sitting on the left, and the Yost factory team's over here, and Bad News Bears RCH is over here. And I remember like the Suzuki bosses saying, you guys are going to work together. It's for the best of the company. And we don't need you guys like, bickering back and forth. And Mike Webb is like, nope. He says, I am here to kick their ass. I want to beat them every single time we line up. I'm like, dude.
And that's probably...
Hey, Tickle, I love you to death. But I said to, that's what I said to Mike. I said, dude, you got James Stewart. If you're worried about us beating you, you got bigger problems.
And I think maybe that's where partly that came.
That was the initial meeting.
They probably washed up. He probably was trying to motivate me. But I think it was, to Webb's defense, the only reason I could think of him saying that, because even still now, like we're cool. I talked to him and all that. I think he knew what was going to happen, and like by us working together, it was going to be combined into one team because they knew they couldn't afford both teams. So they're trying to put everybody together, not because they really want us to work together, but because they can't afford to have two teams. So when Webb was like, nope, like if I allow that to happen, then somebody's going like on there, and I'm running my team. I got my people, like then we're going to have 2 or 3 of the same people.
You weren't going, though.
Well, I don't know, bro.
You weren't going. You were going to the top.
Well, but then at that point, I get the conversation that, hey, you want to ride for RCH or you want to ride for Yoshimura?
I never knew that was an option.
And now that's what it was, because he said, well, that's where the funding's going. So
I never knew that.
Yeah. So that's
there you go.
There's the animosity. So that's probably why he's like, I'm kicking y'all ass on there. And then when I got to wash up, I'm like he's upset because I didn't ride for his team, which had nothing to do with him.
You know, it's crazy. We got these stupid things, and we're too freaking scared to pick it up. Right?
No, you can't. Let's just say back then,
that.
iMessage wasn't free. I was still getting that green text, but yeah, and that's why we said. I don't even know why I was mad. Like, I mean, normally now I would go to you and ask you.
Hey, did you say this?
Yeah, did you say it? But back then it was just true. It had to be true.
I think it was San Diego. JH comes up to me, ready for track walk, and he says, "Hey, something's wrong with your guy's phone." And I'm like, what do you mean? And he shows me his Instagram, and this is so long ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, JH, you're blocked. And he goes, oh, this is Ricky's account. So that's how we figured out how you were blocked. I'm like, oh man, it was so
dude,
awkward.
Hey, it bothered me, and Roger could tell you, like, dude, it bothered me for so long. Like, I'm hitting up Padge. I'm like, dude, what's up? Like, does James not like me or something? Did he go off Instagram? Because then like my own kids are telling me, like, yeah, James is on Instagram. Did you see his Instagram? I'm like, dude.
And like, you know, it wasn't. When I did it, I don't even know, to me to do that, it is kind of like, I mean, I don't even know why I did it, but I guess it wasn't a big deal to me until I found out it was a big deal to you. Then I was like, yeah, no, I did. I did. Oh, really? And I didn't realize it bothered you.
You weren't being sympathetic, be like, oh, really?
No, but you call me washed up, like on there. And then you're thanking me because and the worst part for that, see, you didn't get all the backstory. Maybe you did, which I doubt.
I just found out that you had an option to ride for RCH.
Yeah.
Now I'm pissed.
And the RCH, a full-on conversation. I remember when it was. I'm pissed. And it was an option.
Start training again.
And then so when you said the things in Australia, you didn't realize.
I did say that.
But no, at that time, like, I don't even know if you knew how bad it was. No, I mean, we were about to get sued on there. Like, it was bad on there. So I'm thinking, like, I mean.
Oh, now, dude, I called you washed up, then I doubled down.
Then you doubled down on that. And I'm like, dude, we were about to, like, get lawsuit.
Hurt.
I was hurt. Yeah.
So we weren't able to go. But
death threats. It was bad. It was terrible on there. And then so.
Who knew? I'm just like, they called me. I'm like, you must be in bad shape.
Yeah.
If you're calling this old scrub. Now, you got to think, that was what, 15? Dude, I haven't raced a motorcycle since 2007. I'm like, well, I'll come there, but I'm not racing. I can tell you that.
Yeah. No, it was coincident. No, it was bad timing. It was bad timing, bro. Like, I'm like, so then like I said, I went to Twitter, hit you on there.
Dang it, man.
I don't even know what else other counts, but I unblocked you. I unblocked you.
I was thinking about 07, like reminiscing some great races, Orlando Supercross. You gave me your gear. I still got it up there. And
that is one of the questions that I wanted to ask you. Is it's friendly, I would say. It's respectful as we were on there, and like we didn't. Like, I wouldn't say I walked around and there was like hatred. Like, me and Chad, we had a different one. I didn't like him. You guys are, and we almost fought.
Fierce.
But there were a couple incidents. I would say the practice, Butts Creek on there. And I think a lot of that gets to the other guys, you know, the Rados, the Taylors, those guys, on there, build the situation up. But I guess coming into 05, when I was moving up, like, how much did that change your mentality as far as like your training, your whole program? Like, me coming up, like, did that change your mindset, that your training? Like, did you take it to another level? Because the reason I asked that, because in 05, when you showed up, dude, you were skinny. It seemed like you had like a different focus about you. And I think they were building up K-Dub, Chad, myself, and you. And I was curious to know, like, is a part of that because I was coming up, or was that just part of the program, or did it change?
Great question. So if you remember, I didn't get to race 2004 because I sat out with my ACL.
Yep.
Left Honda, went to Suzuki, and you know what everyone was saying about that back then.
Yep.
You know, career-ending move, blah, blah, blah. And I weighed the same, by the way, as like 150. So I was the same. I weighed 150 from when I started working with Eldon. I weighed 150 pounds the whole 7 years. So I was the same. Maybe maybe my face looked skinnier, but I was weighed the same. I was so laser focused on no one particular. I thought that you were going to be super fast, but you were going to have growing pains. I was kind of leaning on that. I was more focused on kicking Chad's ass.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
And no discredit towards
no,
you.
No.
Like, I don't want you to feel that way. And I was just like, I want his ass because he kicked it. He did me. He got the best of me in 03. Dude, he won the last 7 races.
Yeah.
I never beat him after the halfway part in 2003. I never beat him ever in Supercross.
Gotcha.
So I waited through 04, and I was just ready to pounce, mainly on him.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that's what it was.
Yeah. So,
but then
I was right. There was a difference on your focus, and the reason I probably say that is because I guess I said comments like, you know, I thought I was going to come in and
never I none felt, of that.
Yeah. Again, maybe it's just the way I was thinking. Like I never lost, and I did feel like I thought I was better than you on there. And
I never had that feeling.
And I guess is because I knew beating you was like that was like the MC for you. Like I knew if feel like I'm better than him, like he's the top. So like that's where I'm coming at. It wasn't even like directed towards you because I had no animosity, but you were the guy. So I thought for sure coming in, you probably saw that, okay, Chad, and I knew Chad was good too, but James is the next coming guy.
Oh, I knew you were, dude.
And so I just kind of felt like it was probably more like, you knew you were about to have not only one guy, but two guys, and then you had Kevin in there too. So I didn't take it as a negative. I was just more curious on how that changed, because it seemed like at that point it was like you were just focused.
Dude, I was laser freaking focused on that, and mainly trying to manage Chad and let you see what you're going to do with your thing. But I also felt, I will tell you this, I felt like when we came into 2005, I almost had a teammate against Chad. That's why I asked you earlier. Like, I always felt like it was you and I versus him.
Yeah.
If you didn't win, I wanted to win. If I didn't win, I was hoping you would want me to win. The last person we wanted to win was Chad.
And that is true. That is true. And when it came into, I actually thought Chad was going to be stronger than what he was on there.
I did
but
too.
I didn't race him because I got hurt. And then so when I came back, even still, when I came back at Orlando in that year, I was still actually like worried about Chad. I don't know, like his riding style, the way he was on that, especially in 03, when you watch him like in heat races and practice, and then you watch you, just the styles, the difference and how he looked, I kept thinking, how is Ricky winning? How is he winning on there?
Dude.
Because Chad like looked from 02 to 03, the way he's won. When I watch him, and then still to this day, I watch him and I'm like, damn, that dude was good on there.
You clowning on my handlebar setting, bro?
No, but the thing was,
I'm kidding.
Let me get to the other part. The way he looked on there, and I'm like, how is he winning? But then the way you race, it was like that focus and mindset. Like you were just, dude, I don't know. Like you had mind control over Debo. I don't know how you want to say it, but you just look at the two, and it's like one guy that's so stylish. And I raced Chad, and I knew he was talented, but just the way his bike looked better than yours on there, he was super good through the whoops. You got to remember, I had pictures of your feet flying off over there, like in Detroit or whatever it was, but you won. Like you won, and then that's why I always felt like, in championship wise and going, I was always worried about Chad, because I knew he looked and he was talented. Like he was one of the guys that I felt like looking at him, like he has the skills, like he could jump what I had to do. but racing every week in and week out, like you were the person I would be afraid of to win the championship. I just thought like speed wise, Chad was going to be better, and I was wrong. And I felt like at that point, that's why as we kept continue racing, I was impressed by what you were able to do that sometimes he didn't do on there, and by being able to study and get better like on the fly on heat races and main events. And that's why when I raced you, it was almost a little bit easier to race you, but I knew it was harder in the sense of like you're put together, and like you were way better talented wise, especially in Supercross, than I thought you were. And last point, you got better in 06 to 07. Like you stepped up your Supercross game, and I respected that even more. So
thank you. What I learned from that is, so you asked like when I did change my approach was when I started racing you, and just how good you were like out of the box. Like you would go out and you'd set fastest time in practice, like the first 3 or 4 laps. I'm like, dude, how does this guy do this? And I was kind of like, I still kind of had that old school mentality. Like, dude, I could go all day long. Maybe not have had the raw speed, but compared to you, but I could go long. And I'm like, I have to be better at shorter distances and sprinting.
Yes.
So what I started to do and this is how I changed. I'm so glad you mentioned this. When I would go practice, I wouldn't warm up as much. I would just go out there and just make sure the track is good and safe, make sure the bike is good, like 2 laps minimum, just rolling. And then boom, I'd go out and fire off and try to do 10 laps as fast as I could. That's what I did from 2006 to 2007, because I didn't have to worry about the championship. So I knew that, okay, I just want to see if this helps. And it was an absolute game changer.
Now, to that point, was that something you came up with your own, or did you find out that's what I did?
Nope.
Because that's how I practice. And
really?
That's why I was so good at heat races and so good in the beginning, because I never warmed up on that.
Really?
It was my way of being able to, like, when it fires, like if we had a rain delayed race, I was hard to beat. The less time you had on that racetrack, I was really good. And that's why I was good in the beginning part of the races. So when I was saying, when I looked at Chad, I felt like watching him and the things that he did, he had that ability to do that. Like he was quick in the beginning, where I always felt like until you obviously continue to get better and better, I just felt like I can get away from you before like the fitness would ever even come in.
100%.
And then that changed. And then, so that's why I was saying, like, I respect you for that, because there was something that changed when I used to watch you race, even with Chad, to when we started like getting, and especially like the 06 and 07, like it was like you got faster on there. And so I was just curious, did that start in 05? Because we didn't really race each other pretty much all year. And then we were racing outdoors, wasn't even really racing you. But there was a change in there, and then so that's what it was. But that's how I always practice. It was no warm ups.
Crazy. You changed the game for sure in so many ways. But that's what I had to do to have a chance, because I'm like, dude, he just fires off so much faster, and I didn't want to change that from 2005 to 2006. I'm like, this is my last year as a racing for championship. I don't want to change anything. I'll take my chances. I think I can be better in a longer series.
Yep.
And then 2006, 2007, when I could play, I'm like, this is what I'm doing, because, dude, you would go so fast those first 10 laps, and my arms would just blow up. I'm like, I can run the pace, but I can't run the pace for that long. So maybe I warm up too much. Like, I just need to go out, fire off. And that's what I started doing, and it was just like, boom, boom, boom. And like I said, I wasn't racing for the championship, so I was probably more relaxed there. But dude, you changed the game so much, and I had to get faster, otherwise you're going to absolutely crush me.
Yeah,
I had no choice. And I feel like, going back, Chad I don't think he was willing to make that sacrifice.
No, especially on 4 strokes. Yeah, especially on 4 strokes. I think for Chad, his riding style definitely changed, and he wasn't, when I watched him, the way he looked on 2 strokes to 4 strokes, it definitely took him a lot longer to adjust to that. But like after '05 and watching you throughout and how you won and you know, then starting to race you, like as you're saying, you needed to get quicker. Yeah. Like I was focusing in on doing that, and that's partly why I felt like if I allow this dude to stay here, he'll have a chance to get me. So I'm gonna be fast in the beginning because I feel like that's maybe if he has a weak spot, it'd be that in the beginning part of races
100%
on there. And then so all our races, if I didn't get away from you in the beginning, those are the races I followed you. Because I was like, oh, I'm just slow down and not let him like watch me and stay with me towards the end. I'm gonna have to change the approach. If I got the whole shot, I'm gonna try to dip out. And then Supercross, especially in Supercross. So our whole career, like racing you, like it was strategized. Like, and probably the things that I was doing made you feel like, dude, I can never beat this guy. But I was specifically doing those things to beat you because I didn't want to have to race you at the thing.
Dude,
so
if there were times where he would get a good start in the Supercross, I'm like, I'm screwed tonight. Straight up. You didn't even, dude, I could have saved you so much stress. If you looked back and you saw me in 5th and you were in the lead on lap 1, you might as well just go ahead and know you had it that night. You had it had it that night. And then like my barrier for me was like, if I looked back and you're like 6 guys behind me, I'm like, I think I got a shot tonight. I think I got, if you were anywhere inside top 5, I'm like, he's got me tonight.
And then I got to think during the week, he's the only thing you're thinking about, just like him. He's the only thing you're thinking about, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, yes, when he 06 and 07, I'm just focusing on raw speed and him. I knew how to manage the championship at that point. I mean, you got to think I've been in it for so long.
Yeah. And I would answer, I think he was, and I think the racer of you and the reason why you would take the chance and end up in the boat, like in race, is because that's who you are. Oh yeah. You're not the type that
paint, dude.
Yeah, like every championship you won is you deserved it. Like you put in the effort, like you worked on there. It wasn't like you just fell into the situation. Hey, maybe you didn't have to win the last 6 races, but it was because you busted your ass and won in the beginning to allow you to be able to manage. So I would say, from my point of view, in 2006. The racer side of you and the, I would say ego a little bit, just you as a racer, the speed wise, it would probably get to you. But I would almost feel like Chad would be the one that you would have to worry about throughout the full part of the year, because I would win, and you knew if I was on, I probably was going to win, but I also would throw one away too. But Chad was just always going to be there. So
yeah, but dude, you don't realize you're not giving yourself enough credit to see the gains that you made from 05 to 06. And I knew at the end of 06, I didn't want any of it in 2007. Straight up. I mean, when I raced 6 races in 2007, I won 3, I think, but I got lucky because St. Louis, you and Chad got together. That should have only been 2. Yeah. So, like, dude, trust me. Yeah. I could only win on a technicality for so long. You were coming. You had figured it out. You know, your strategy had become much better. You were getting older. You were getting experienced. You were growing, dude. Yeah. And that's a testament to your learning skills and, you know, at the pinnacle of your career. You were making the adjustments. Yeah, we all step off once in a while, but you were too good. I could see the writing on the wall.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. It definitely, you know, in 05 coming in, I get hurt. 06, I'm still trying to prove myself like that I belong.
It was a good learning year for you, though.
It was, because it showed me like okay, this guy isn't God. I actually think I can beat him on there. So 07, we had a better bike, and I actually did feel like in 07 in Supercross, like I was so comfortable that I'm like,
you would have beat me for the championship. You would have straight up. I'm gonna tell you right now, you would have beat me in the championship. He would have beat me in the championship that year had I raced. You were just
Well, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no, straight up. I'm just telling you, like you had worked out all the bugs. You figured everything you needed. You figured everything out that you needed to in '06, and you were gonna. I just felt like going into 2007 for sure, like you were gonna take those mistakes you made in '06 and not make them in '07, which you could win freaking so much.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it, and I felt that way. The bike was better, and instead of a DNF, I would in a bad race would be like a 5th on there, and those are the difference. But that's what I learned when you lose a title and you win 10 races or whatever. How many? I won quite a few of them, but I think I lost more than I won. I should have won that year, and I'm like, I lose by 2 points on there. That I can go back to Dallas, and I can go back to the St. Louis. So 07, between the bike and coming in and being able to run that pace, it was a lot easier for me. The bike was. And so I felt like it was going to be the year to like do that. That being said, you never know what you'll ask. So, you were always there.
Well,
but
listen, I knew I'm a realist, and I only got the best of you because you made mistakes. I mean, at some point that luck runs out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So well, it's 50-50. I felt that way.
It was good. I will say that I feel like you and I wouldn't even call it a rivalry. I would just call it a mutual respect of competitors that you wanted to win. Yeah. I wanted to win. We had a couple run-ins, but at the same time, we respected everyone. We respected each other.
I agree.
And that's what made it fun. For me, it was a lot of fun because, it's a different experience for me because I feel, it was the tail end of my career, so I could enjoy it, where it was, you're on the uphill trend.
Yeah.
So, but it was a fun way for me to go, to end my career.
No, it was good. It was definitely good. And I think in those, you won 2 races, and those ones that you raced, I hit neutral in San Diego, which are not San Francisco, and then you won the St. Louis one. But I lost 3 races total that year on there, and you won 2 of them on there.
But you just talk. Every time I beat you, it was because you fell down or you had an issue.
Well, I think to your point of like growing, there was a couple races I actually came from last to still win, and I think that's the part where I was more comfortable running that speed. And growing up, particularly like Indianapolis, dead last, and Chad was out front, I ran him down. Where the year before, I come from dead lines and crashed 3 times in 1 lap, and like I was maybe faster in 06, but I was uncomfortable doing that and just figuring it out. So it was a pleasure, but I definitely think like it's cool to hear you say how you changed, and me visually seeing you and wondering like, damn, was it 05? He seemed like he had a different focus. And then this dude, like, I felt like, I wouldn't say overlooked you, but I overlooked you because you got better on there and like you got faster. And then to hear you say like, well, I mean,
this is what
you changed because of like speed. It's cool to have that. And then I wish we had Chad here too, because there's a lot of things that like he did that made both of us better. And I think it was to have us 3 up there and we all kind of looked at each other differently and raced each other differently, but we had respect for each other, meaning like the dude I was just as afraid as him racing him. I didn't like racing him because of X, and then I didn't like racing you because of X, but at the end of the day, we can have these conversations and be like, dude, well, only if you knew.
That's right.
Yeah, only if you knew a lap 10 at Orlando, if you'd have held me off another lap, you might have won that race, like on there. And then you're like, you're playing with me back here. So, yeah, it's cool. And both of y'all definitely helped create the monster that you hated racing against and vice versa, dude. So
amen.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, we'll have to get Chad in here.
Got to.
All 4 of us. That'd be good.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Well, there's one question that I know everybody wants to talk about, and I know I want to ask. And I don't know if we ever really had a conversation about that. Unadilla.
Yeah.
05. Did you really think I jumped on you on purpose?
No.
All right. That was the narrative.
You called me actually.
Did I?
I was at Tallahassee Airport. Yeah, you called me. I was flying out to Washougal on Friday, and you called me. And no, I thought the only thing that I did think was I thought that you would have anticipated me blocking the inside. Yeah, that was the only thing. I'm like, man, because kudos to you. You're so instinctual. Like that was what's so gnarly about racing with you is, okay, if I'm gonna block you or I'm gonna try to pass you, you guard so well. You know what I mean? You have this like sense, a lot like Cooper Webb. I feel like in today's world, people watching this podcast is James was the same way. So I'm like, okay, number one, I put myself in that position. I fell down. You passed me, caught back up because you're on the 250, and I like took my time getting by you, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to sneak up the inside here. He knows I'm going to slow down and block.
Yeah, see, and that was the thing. I never thought you would actually, well, when you did what you did, I was shocked that you did it because I'm like, you know how Unadilla is so off camber, like you really have to slow down to get to that inside. And I figured, well, he's been behind me a couple laps, so he knows I got this slingshot line from outside in, and if you go down the outside, you're going inside. So when we got to that position and I'm like, okay, like just naturally he's going to fall out to the outside. So when you break, I was like, like there was nothing I can do. It's slippery as hell. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then like, when I think there was like an interview, when you said what you said, like, I thought he would know I would break on there. And I'm thinking like, wouldn't you know that was going to happen like on there? Because I was particularly like,
and you were going to slingshot me.
I was going to slingshot, but I just, again, I wasn't behind you on there. And just for no reason, I thought just you seeing me, because you were behind me a couple laps, that you would have saw the line I was taking.
Yeah, so, I wanted to take the line away from you.
And you did. No, you did. But the whole narrative was I was struggling that year on there, frustrated. And then people thought like I jumped on you. And then and I always told people, RC's actually never said anything about that. So when I asked you, like, did you think I jumped? I kind of knew you knew that because one, dangerous on there. But it was a bad look. You get up, flip my bike over, and that's it. And I'm like laying there.
I could tell you was taking a nap.
Yeah, I was like, sitting there.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, and I'm like,
oh no, yeah, you wasn't like nothing, dude. Yeah. You was like, napping.
I was sitting there
napping
like
hard,
dude. And then it was just, it sucked. It sucked. And then the media and then all that.
Look how young you look in that picture. It's hard to believe.
I got a little older real quick there.
You got wise.
Yeah.
You got wise.
Yeah, I should know. I guess he's going to.
That's what happened. No, I know. Dude, I think anybody, like, they always think, oh, he tried to jump me. Like, no, he didn't. I tried to block him from the slingshot. Like, he was going to cut underneath me. I didn't feel like dealing with his ass the rest of the race, so I didn't want him to tuck back underneath me. He's already committed. Like, you ain't gonna just go jump on someone. Like, ain't nobody doing that, dude.
Yeah, no, I know as a racer, I knew that. But I think just this is one of the things that when people, they think of us, they bring up this. And I always wanted to ask you because, I mean, I'm like, you know, just from my point of view on there, like, I think it was more, I wouldn't expect that. And then, like, I'm guessing if I'm you going down the inside, if I'm blocking you, I'm going more down the middle. So it almost gives you a warning that, like, usually you're kind of on the inside, that I would start braking earlier to let you know. But at the last minute, that's why I was, like, not even thinking that you were going to do it, because then you slowed down, and I'm like, gang, and I'm like, shit. But no, but I just think I wanted to not clear it up because I already knew, but I know people will want to ask about that, and so I think to get that out,
we had this conversation in 2005.
Well, of course I wasn't even there. I was, dude. It was bad. We were like, I don't even know. For at that point, it was me, and I was in a dark spot because I was getting my ass kicked, and as much as you say it was the 250 and all that, they can't. Which, to their credit, I would have done the same thing. Nah, it's him. Like, we're just better. Because you knew Well, he was going to get a 450 eventually. And that year, I actually thought I was going to race a 450. Kawasaki, they didn't bring it out.
I was hoping they wasn't. By the way,
on there. So as one, I'm losing on there, and I still thought my talent was good enough to be able to compete against you. Boy, did I have a wake up call. I'm getting passed by John Down going uphill. I was getting beat by dudes at Glen Helen on the 4th stroke, but nobody would still give me the benefit of the doubt. Include my team, really. They expect me to win. And so by the time we got to Unadilla, it was just like I felt like that was the only chance I actually had a shot, even though that's probably the worst track to race on the 2-stroke. The only place that you would actually lose would be Unadilla. But I love that place because I knew it was, you can do lines and I can keep momentum up. Anywhere where I had to stop and go or it was deep, I was in trouble. And it just happened to seemed like that year, Davey Coons and Max, they dug them damn tracks so deep that year. And so finally, where I will say this, I will admit, the one time I was like, God damn it, I don't care, is when I came down the hill at Binghamton. When I went down. Oh, yes. And that's because I knew I'm about to lose 2 seconds going up that thing on there. And I was like, I don't even care. So that one, I sent it down. And then the last minute, I hit the brakes. So I'm like, I'm going to hit in the fans. I'm going to kill this dude on there.
Dude, but it's funny you said that because we're going down this hill. I'm like, there is no way this dude is making the corner. There is no way, because like it's a game of chicken, right? I'm like, there ain't no shot. I couldn't no. You just said the hell with it.
I said the hell with it. I'll hear that. Yeah. I'm like, dude, the bike's kicking, and I'm like, this is my only shot, because if he gets a half a second, my ass is gone. And I didn't think I was gonna beat you anyway, but I'm like, if I'm gonna pass him, make a statement.
It was deep.
It was gonna be there. And dude, I went down that bitch like no other. And last minute I thought of Unadilla and all the things. It came to my sense, hit the brake and tuck. But yeah, I lost control.
I mean, I can remember that like it's happening yesterday. I'm like, there ain't no way. I honestly, I'm like, he really wants this position.
Dude, I wanted it, dude. You don't, and that thing was, look at me, just, there was no way I was stopping. But
they're like right here. I'm like,
he's on the brakes. I'm like,
I'm like, what's he doing? He's gonna try to take the same line.
No, bro, I was going for it, like, cause I mean, the race was done. Like, people don't understand.
It
2 more seconds. No.
That was the beginning of the race.
The 4th stroke, 2 more seconds. You would have been 2.5 seconds by the time I got up that hill. Cause like, I'm back on the inside. Once I decided I'm going into this line, I knew I was jacked because I'm going inside. It's deep, and you're gonna be gone. And so we're watching on OLN, and I'm like, F it. Like, I'm going down there, and I'm like,
yeah.
So I was like, dude. Cool. But I was proud of myself. I
love A for effort. One thing about you, my man, you weren't gonna leave no stone unturned. You going for it,
bro? I mean, that's saying that pot calling the kettle black, Mr. Boat Man, here. Like,
hey,
I mean,
you need to watch 2002 Houston Supercross in the main event. I got buck wild through the whoops.
Oh yeah,
land up on the tough blocks. I don't know how I say it. Dude, it's like you at Orlando when you hopped up on the tough block.
Dude, you remember one of the gnarliest saves I ever had was right in front of you, 06, 2000, Anaheim 2. Remember the whoop section? Like, there was, you can watch the video, dude. There was a few moments where, yeah, but I could tell you're in the whoop section, because there was a whoop section, back-to-back whoops right before the finish line. And I ended up falling, I think the last lap or next last lap. But you know when you think somebody's going down, you start braking in the whoops, like, because you're like, there's no way this dude's singing. And I remember the bike the corner went right, the bike was pointed left, and I just threw my foot out on there, and I drug my foot on the ground to pull the bike back around, and I saved this thing. And then, but yeah, there was some moments.
To that point, here I'm like,
that was one.
Like,
there's another one.
I said, I got him tonight. I said, I got it.
Yeah, I remember my dad going up to Doug, and because we were asking him about tire selection, and Doug was like, I think he should go this. And he was like, Doug came up after the race from Bridgestone, and he was like, Yeah, we would have been all right if you wouldn't have put them damn banana peels on that bike, and just the competitiveness. Like we were like, man, I bet Doug wanted Ricky to win. Like on there, like just like jokingly around, but it was struggling because I switched tires.
Yeah, I'm like, oh sweet.
Yeah, that wasn't even the one, Cole, that you just showed. There's another one that's worse than that right in front of him. But look how skinny this cat is.
I know that's 06, bro.
I know, and you actually gained some weight from that.
No, I'm telling you, I weighed the same. I promise.
Yeah, I was nervous. I was on banana peels that night. Here we go. No, it's close. It's one like that. It might be the next lap, actually.
Oh, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was another. Here we go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah, I'm like, I thought you were going over the berm. I'm like, oh boy, this is like, how do you like that is unbelievable,
dude. I'm telling you, I drug my foot, I threw the bitch out and pulled myself back on there. But look, you couldn't have the race. You weren't gonna have it like that. And that night, you were better. And you were better than me that night.
I will say,
you were better than me that night. And
that is the only time, but. You screwed me though. You didn't give me an opportunity to pass you without you crashing. Oh, yeah. I only won in my mind. I only won because you fell.
Yeah, well, you put me in that situation. But I will say this: you made a mistake after the finish line, and if I wouldn't have fell, is because you made that mistake. I would have won that race because it gave me enough gap. But you caught me. All the whoops things, like you were better on there. Banana peels, not like you were better that night. And so I wouldn't say I give you that one. You put me in a bad situation. Then you up here doing the can and shit. I was so mad. I'm like, dude, I just crashed on there. And then like, look at him, Chad reading me right here, like the best. But
dude, you gotta give again. You've got to give yourself more credit, dude. Like. I'm thinking this might be the only race I win this year because you're figuring it out, right? I'm like, well, what would have been a crash last year isn't a crash anymore. Like you're gonna continue to get better. So I'm just thinking, like, no, dude, I'm gonna live it up.
This is 06.
I know.
Yeah, this is 06. Because when I came back in 05, I won 3 races and crashed the other 3. On there, and then we went outdoors. But look at you, celebrate. See, I was like, but you gotta rev it up, but of course, like in my mind, I'm like, I went down, but nah, dude, they consoled me because they knew, Like, look at Pops, and then I knew my week was gonna suck on there, and then Doug was about to get it, but I'm like,
banana peels,
yeah. And then, so I guess
can you keep playing that? Let me see if I take my house. See?
Oh, dude, I used to do that all the time, bro.
You had me, bro.
Yeah, you did say that. I didn't believe one damn word.
See, why?
Is that what you said to him, really?
No. Yeah,
I play so you had me, bro.
But this is a part that, like, I love. Now, look at you. Like, I mean, this dude's, like, stoked. And, like, in my mind, that's rubbing in my face on there.
Dude, like, you take it too personal, bro. Wait, how do you think I felt when you waxed me all those times? Like,
that's what made us great. Like,
but I wasn't like, oh, look, he's smearing shit in my face. But like, you're celebrating your dub. It was a hard-earned win.
No, I know. But to your point, in my defense, that's what I use to against you, because it's hard to be like, I know I'm faster than the guy on there. So when that happens, it was like you're rubbing, like that was a way to get in my head in a sense, because I'm like, well, I'm faster.
You're thinking too much.
No, I mean, that's just the truth. Like, I mean, you're working to get better. And it wasn't, as I'm saying this, I wasn't taking it as like an egregious, like negative, but I also thought like me as a racer, like, when another guy won, I could never celebrate. And that's why, again, and it's not even, don't take this as negative, because it's not. That's why I had a hard time with Chad. Exactly why I had a hard time, because that's the way he would be on there. And I'm like,
I'm with you.
But from my point of view, now looking at it, like, you made steps to get to that point, because remember, it started off in Toronto, then it was Vancouver, then it was Anaheim 1, and then at Phoenix, I went down. and I came up to third. Then I won.
I got lucky. So that's what's playing in my mind. I'm like,
but you got better, and that was the first time that year that that you came, and I was like, all right, Toronto ain't gonna happen like that. For a point, I'm like, okay, I'm that much better, but you gotten better that night, so I can see why you would celebrate. But of course, like at my point, I just threw away the race. And I'm pissed off, sliding around, all these reasons, and then I got cans and all this stuff out there, and I'm
helmet
but yeah, I mean, it was just that's what made us who we are.
Podium celebrations.
Yeah, and then this dude when he comes up and he throws his hand, and you didn't give me like a little tap. You always dug your hand in my shoulder, like it was just always like you almost had me. I'm like whatever, but. It was awesome, dude. It was awesome.
You just about did. But damn it, I only beat you because you crashed.
Yeah, well, I wish I would have not crashed anymore and had some of them titles. So, yeah, I tell people I'd rather be lucky than good any day. I remember you used to say that on there. But
I learned that from your dad, actually.
He never told me that.
Like, the first time I ever heard that was from his dad. I heard Big James say one time, I'd rather be lucky than good any day. I'm like, I'm going to rip that off.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad loved you, dude. Like he loved you, and he always,
I loved your dad.
Yeah. He always had respect for even when we raced. Like he didn't play. Like if we got into it, he would be the first one. You need to go talk to him. Like don't race Ricky. And he always was.
Did he say that when you blocked me?
I don't think he even knew. He still might not know.
But he'd give you some act, right?
Yeah. At Unadilla, like, you know, I don't remember having to call because it was struggle week, but he would be the first person to be like, Junior, you need to go talk to him on there. And Washougal, hey, squash. Like,
no,
and
but
that's
that
how he
was hard racing at Washougal.
No, I know, but like he wouldn't, us hitting each other, he didn't like that there, and he wouldn't allow that stuff to happen. So, and that's just because, I mean, he's known you and he knows the respect that we have for each other. He wouldn't say that about Chad on some things on there. Like you know,
I'm with you,
but that's just difference, and that's not. I can't wait to have Chad on here, but I think it's more the me and Chad had this, like you said perfectly. Like we had a rivalry on there, and like it was a rival from the beginning. We raced each other, and we were competitive at the best and the top.
The respect was there.
There was respect. There was no hatred on there, and so. But yeah, it was awesome, man. It was awesome.
Hey, I have a question for you.
All right.
When you go to races, have you ever been to a race? Let's just say the last 10 races that you've been to. Have you ever went there and someone not mentioned the Fox video, me, you, and Pastrana? Not mentioned it. Like, hey, you remember that?
No, not fans. Not fans. When I go to the races, they bring up, even as gnarly as Chase and Eli's battles were this year, they go, racing still wasn't as good as when you and Ricky raced.
Yeah.
On that. That's what they bring up, and they go kids on the couch on there. And so my next thing is that we got to get Travis in that seat, and we got to do kids on the couch.
Oh, dude, it'd be a blockbuster hit for sure.
That'd
be a lot of fun, and to just relive that memory. And like, we were all kids, and just so innocent, and it could have gone so many different ways for all of us.
Yeah, and I will say this, and obviously we didn't know, Fox didn't know what they had back then, and those kids on the couch, I would say, I think each one of us changed the sport in a big way.
Oh yeah,
what Travis does,
for sure.
Like myself, and like what you've done as far as the whole mindset and facility and race and training.
Yeah, I think the training,
it's a game changer. So buck ass teeth right there. I'm in the middle of the
me and my kids will be watching this stuff sometimes, and they're like, haha, Dairy Queen dad, and then my son, he's always chocolate, man. It's just so fun. So like, we'll go to an ice cream shop, or my son loves double chocolate donuts. I'm like, what are you getting? He's like, chocolate, man.
That's awesome.
From this, it's so good.
That's awesome. And it's funny because I was I mean, I was quite a bit younger.
Oh, dude, you were young. Yeah.
That when Travis, when he said he jumped quads, I thought he was meaning like he jumped
Four-wheelers?
a four-wheeler. So my answer was like, he jumped quad on there. I wouldn't need 4 jumps. So when my math wasn't 5 out of 4 people, remember, on there. So dude. So you've heard it. We're gonna have to remake Kids on the Couch, calling you out, Travis. But
bring it.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. But RC, dude, it was an honor.
Thank you.
I appreciate you driving down here, dude.
No worries. Hey, listen.
Yeah, thanks for coming down. That was huge.
No, thank you for the opportunity. I want to say I'm very proud of you. I remember watching your dad at Dade City Raceway, and you were just a young pup. I'm proud of you to be able to do what you did, manage all of that stuff, you know, and your parents are still right there beside you. Your brother's kicking ass. You have a beautiful family. You've provided a great life for yourself and your family. I'm proud of you, and that's what you need to really be proud of yourself. And what's one thing that I've really learned to do as I've gotten older is appreciate what you've accomplished, because you're never going to have another chance at that, and be happy for yourself. And I'm proud of you, bud. Good job,
man.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I can't That's really awesome. End it much better than that. Thanks, man. Seriously.
You bet.
And being a dad and all that.
It's the best title ever.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, I don't really have to say much. We had the greatest of all time. I've raced this guy. I've looked up to this guy, and I still do. And it's kind of got me teared up right now. But it was an honor, RC, to have you on. And, man, Kids on the Couch will be here soon enough. But as always, I appreciate everybody watching. And thank you again for coming on, man. It was an honor.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Raj, Cole, Beach. That's it again. That was it. Bubba's World. There it is, people. Damn.